Hello, welcome to the Fanfic Majesty. If you want more content, you can follow me on Patreon. I will be uploading more content on there that will be exclusive. The link is in the description. Please support me. 5 SWTF Chapter 101 Previous Chapter Next Chapter Advertisement. Hanxing turned his head, his hands quickly formed marks, and chakra filled his mouth. Open your mouth and spray, fire style Haolong Huo technique. A huge fire dragon appeared out of thin air with a scorching high temperature, and before the dart in front of it reached it, the hot temperature emanating from the fire dragon's body had already evaporated. Undiminished Yu Wei, rushing towards the crane wing blowing snow not far away. Wherever he passed, the strong flames melted the surrounding icebergs. Avalanche. It's already dead. He Chui Shui looked at the picture not far away, with horror and disbelief in his expression. How long has it been since Avalanche fought Hanxing? She was already heading there. Unexpectedly, what I saw was the corpse of the Wolf-Tooth Avalanche. Wolf Fang Shui Beng can be said to be the strongest person among the three of them, but he killed Shui Beng in an instant. The person here is very strong, very strong. It is definitely not something they can deal with. Hei Fukishui thought of this in an instant. At this time, I felt the surrounding temperature began to rise. Look up and look at the approaching fire dragon. Quickly seal with both hands. Ice escape ice prison technique. Pieces of huge icicles rose from the ground, blocking the way of the fire dragon. Behind chakra armor in full swing, the whole person flew into the air. She was going to slip away and report to Feng Hua Nudao. This person is not something they can handle at all. As for the life and death of another teammate, she was directly abandoned by her. What are you doing in such a hurry? Why don't you stay with your companions? Advertisement. A voice suddenly appeared right in front of her. Hei Fushui looked at the boy in front of him, and the shock in his eyes reappeared. After looking down and making sure it was midair, not a dream, he pointed to Hanxing, his voice with a hint of fear. You? How can you fly? Only the weak can be ignorant. How can an octopus and a mayfly shake a tree? After speaking in a cold tone, the whole person quickly disappeared in the air, his fists clenched tightly, and the rich chakra gathered on it. Call out. The sun swayed, and the afterimages slowly dissipated in the air. Hanxing suddenly appeared in front of Crane Fukiuki, and in panic, he punched the gem of chakra's armor. Click. The gems at chakra's armor were smashed to pieces by Hanxing's punch. The huge chakra impact made Crane Yibuki fall down like a bullet. Boom. A roar sounded from below. The home of crushed ice is in this frozen soil, splashing everywhere. A cracked pothole suddenly appeared on the hard icy ground. Hanxing falls from midair. He Chui Shui fell into it with blood on his face, with deep unwillingness and fear in his eyes. Looking up, the electromagnetic induction swept away, and there was a hint of play in his eyes. Do you know that the thief is the first to capture the king? The words fell. The lightning flashed and disappeared in place. At this time, Dongshang Hail Justice ran towards the sailboat where Fenghua Shaoshui was located at an extremely fast speed. After all, the purpose of their trip is to wind flowers and snow. As long as you catch her, this mission will end successfully. As for the life and death of the other two teammates, he is not worried at all, as long as he completes the task, and he doesn't think his two teammates will lose to the boy. Come on. Come on. Looking at the approaching galleon, Dongshang Hail's heart was extremely excited. Advertisement. Little Snow Princess. The old minister will never let you have any trouble, even if it costs me my life. Sante Asama held a knife in his hand. His expression was extremely firm, and his face was full of death. A commoner dares to come to block me. It's really courting death. Dongshang Hail's face was hideous. Throw a fist. Boom. A terrifying roar. Winter Bear Hail with a terrified face, looking at the figure on the opposite side. How could he be here? Then a piercing pain came from the hand, until a huge impact spread from the opposite fist. How fast the whole person came and flew backwards and backwards at how fast. Click. Click. The chakra armor on the body was even broken into pieces by this impact. A trace of blood began to flow from all over his body. Boom. Boom. Pieces of huge icebergs are penetrated by its strength. Falling on the ground, the flat ground suddenly cracked. Cobweb-like cracks spread around. Boom. Boom. It was penetrated through the top of the iceberg and began to fall downward at a constant speed. Boom. Boom. The earthquake shook the mountains, the earth shook, and the monstrous noise drowned everything, just like the end of the world. Hanxing's electromagnetic induction radiated out, and after confirming that the electromagnetic waves of the three people disappeared, he said to Santafu-sama with a flat face, "It's all right." Good. Good. Thank you, Mr. Hanxing." Asama Mitsuha shivered. At this time, Santafu-sama has long dared not question the strength of Hanxing, and understands that 5th Hokage is not perfunctory to them. As the leader of the anti-Fenghua Nutao rebel army in the Snow Country, he still knows some of the strengths of Fenghua Nutao's men. Advertisement in the country of snow, it is definitely an existence that walks sideways. The three of them were wiped out by Hanxing in just a moment. This strength is not ordinary strong. Hanxing's powerful strength made Mitsuo-sama see the hope of hitting Fenghua's raging waves. Others looked at everything that happened in the distance in shock, with a hint of envy and panic in their hearts. Is this the power of ninjas? Even Fenghua Xiaoshui's gaze towards Hanxing changed a little. This young man is actually so strong. Because of the battle between Hanxing and Fenghua Nutao, the framing here is unusable, and then the sailboat will head towards the land of the Snow Country. Along the way, Santae-sama is very polite to Hanxing, and even everyone else. After all, the strength of this boy's display is really beyond their reach. After arriving on land, the sky was already dark, and the crew began to repair and cook. Santae-sama said something to Hanxing, asking him to protect Fenghua Xiaoshui, and he went to contact the rebels who resisted Fenghua Furious Dao. Night. The stars are as bright as pearls, and the little stars sway the earth, adding a bit of bright color to this quiet night. Fenghua Xiaoshui was wearing a thick padded jacket, sitting alone by the river not far away. She was pale, trembling all over, with tears in her eyes. Under the starlight, Fenghua Xiaoshui's whole person is miserable and helpless, extremely pitiful. Hanxing stands not far from it, quietly guarding. Electromagnetic induction has long been turned on, covering the surrounding area. As long as someone appears, they will be sensed by him. As for what happened to Fenghua Xiaoshui, he didn't care about his business. He came here just to protect Fenghua Xiaoshui, as long as people didn't die. No matter how pitiful or helpless, everything has nothing to do with him. Chapter 102 Previous chapter Next chapter Advertisement. When the matter here is resolved, maybe they will never see each other again. There is no need to invest too much emotion. Hey, can you take me out of here? I really don't want to stay here. Suddenly, Fenghua Xiaoshui turned her head and begged with tears in her eyes. No. Hanxing shook his head and pondered. This may be your sad place. Even if I take you away, where can you go? There is a saying that it's good to get up from where you fall. It's just a rage, I'll help you solve it. What nonsense are you talking about? Are you kidding me? Can you defeat such a person? Fenghua Xiaoshui looked at Hanxing with a sneer on her face. Her heart was ashamed. Hanxing kept his mouth shut. The conversation between the two was not on the same level at all. On the ninja level, Fenghua and Furious Waves are also an elite jonin. Hee. Why don't you talk? Fenghua Xiaoshui continued sarcastically. Did I guess it right? If you can really beat him, I can be your wife. After finishing speaking, Fenghua Xiaoshui, as if feeling tired, walked towards the cabin. Hanxing's eyes flickered, and after Fenghua Xiaoshui fell asleep completely, he left a shadow clone and ran towards the direction of Fenghua's raging waves. Hanxing knew very well that in the theater of Shuiji Ninja Tai, the biggest boss was Fenghua Furious Wave. As long as he was defeated, his mission would be completed. Then I will hand over everything here to Santae-sama, and I will return to Konoha, which will save a lot of time. This matter had already been settled in Hanxing's heart after he protected Fenghua Xiaoshui. Along the way, the wind turned into thunder and lightning, and Hanxing soon came to the country of snow. Fenghua Nutao's residence is easy to find, and the castle in the middle is his residence. At the gate of the castle, Two snow ninjas guarded the gate with serious expressions. As soon as Hanxing approached, one of them, Shui Ren, scolded loudly, What are you doing here? Don't you know the residence of His Majesty the King here? I came here because I knew it, and I'm just angry. Hanxing's tone was indifferent. While speaking, his hands grabbed the necks of the two Zuren in shock. Advertisement click. With a push of both hands, the two snow ninjas died in unwillingness and panic. Throwing the two snow ninjas aside, Hanxing strode inside. The movement at the door immediately attracted Shui Nin, who was patrolling, surrounded Hanxing one by one, and the head of Shui Nin had a murderous expression on his face. Dare to break into the castle at night, kill the guard, and take him down. If you resist, you will be executed immediately. Hanxing was silent, listening to the words of the name Shui Ren, shook his head slightly, and said indifferently, ignorance. Whoosh! Hanxing appeared out of thin air in the sky above Snow Ninja. Lightning flashes all over the body, like a red pearl, with a hint of horror in the brilliance. Suddenly, thousands of books composed of red thunder and lightning are densely packed like arrows falling downward. Puff! Puff! The screams, the sounds of fear, and the snowy ninja made a mess all of a sudden. At this time, it was too late for them to run, and 1,000 sharp books penetrated their bodies without hindrance, leaving corpses one after another in panic and confusion. After a while, the screams disappeared. Hanxing fell from the air, and the pungent smell of blood came out. Hanxing was expressionless and walked towards the depths of the palace. If he guessed correctly, Fanghua furious waves should be in the deepest part of the palace. Along the way, Hanxing encountered a lot of patrolling snow ninjas, all of whom were killed by Hanxing's move to meet Shinigami. Most of these Shui Ren rebelled with Fanghua Nudao 10 years ago, killing the original owner Fanghua Zhaoshui, with a lot of blood on their hands, killing them. Hanxing didn't feel bad at all. Puff! After wiping the last Shui Ren's neck, Hanxing finally came to the gate of the palace. Advertisement inside is the residence of Fanghua Nudao. Open the door. Fanghua Nudao, dressed in chakra armor, sat on the throne with a calm face, as if he had expected it. After all, so many people died in the castle, and the movement was so big, if he really didn't know, the city lord would be in vain. Welcome. Konoha's ninja. Fanghua said with a smile, if you can come, then the three of them must have died in your hands? In his tone, there was no anger at all over the death of the three of them. Call out. Hanxing's figure moved, like a ghost, rushing towards Fenghua's raging waves. Thunder flashed in his hand, and in the blink of an eye, thousands of birds chirped in unison until the dull silence returned to the original. The red Reikari has raging energy and slashing power. In the blink of an eye, he was at Fanghua Nudao's side, raised his hand and blasted towards the weak point of Fanghua Nudao's chakra armor. Fanghua furious waves seemed to have expected it long ago. At the moment Hanxing disappeared, his hands quickly formed a seal. He shouted. Ice escape double dragon blizzard. Two huge black dragons made of frost and snow. Open your teeth and dance towards Hanxing. With the appearance of two black dragons, the temperature in the palace plummeted. The black dragon with red eyes is ferocious, like an evil spirit that has returned from hell. Looking at the two black dragons flying towards him, Hanxing's face wrinkled, and his other hand quickly made a seal. Chakra surging all over the body, gathering in the mouth. Fire style How Long fire technique. Accompanied by a burst of heat, a huge fire dragon rose out of thin air, screaming in the sky. It is extremely fierce, and it is not afraid of the bombardment of the two black dragons in front of it. Advertisement 1 against 2, in just a moment, the two black dragons were melted by their hot temperature, turned into water droplets, and then evaporated by the fire dragon, forming a puff of smoke that dissipated around. Yu Wei did not diminish, rushing towards Fanghua and raging waves. Fanghua Nudao's pupils shrank for a while, and there was a sneer at the corner of his mouth. This is the new type of chakra armor, and all ninjutsu attacks have no effect in front of it. Clang. Like a bell tolling. Hanxing's fire dragon flies in front of Fenghua's raging waves and can't fly in again. There seems to be a barrier protection in the eyes around it. Ha ha ha. Seeing this, Fenghua Furious Dao laughed even more proudly. You think too much. Without the obstruction of two black dragons, Hanxing held Reikari and had a close encounter with Chakra's armor. Click. Click. As soon as I touched it, Hanxing's Reikari directly smashed the chakra armor barrier. Hit the weak spot in Chakra's armor. Click. Click. A burst of electric light flickered, and then the black mist rose, and the chakra armor of the wind was also scrapped. The power of Reikari in Hanxing's hand is unabated, and the whole arm penetrates the abdomen of the wind and flowers without any obstruction. Puff! Fenghua Nutao's eyes were full of disbelief, and he fell to the ground with unwillingness, vomiting blood. Chapter 103 Previous chapter Next chapter Advertisement. At the same time, without the obstruction of Fenghua Nutao's chakra armor barrier in midair, the huge fire dragon is about to fall on Fenghua Nutao's corpse. If this falls, the high temperature from the fire dragon will at least turn the corpse of Fenghua Furious Waves into a charred corpse. Hanxing frowned. Fenghua Nutao's corpse was still useful, but he couldn't be burned by the fire dragon. With a flash of thought, the falling fire dragon suddenly turned into a primitive element and disappeared. Holding the corpse of Fenghua Furious Dao in one hand, the figure flickered and disappeared in place. In a spacious wooden house, the charcoal burning emits bursts of warmth. The blue, middle-aged people in samurai uniforms sat opposite each other with solemn faces. At the top, San Taifu Asama sits cross-legged. This is the headquarters of the anti-Fenghua Nu Dao rebel army. His face was solemn, with a hint of enthusiasm and excitement in his eyes. Princess Snow has returned to the land of the Snow Country. This time, and our only chance, we must strangle the traitor Fenghua Nutao. Support Little Snow Princess, and give our country of snow a bright future. Asama Mitsuha said here. His voice was sonorous and powerful, full of energy. Squeak. Asama Santao just finished speaking. The people in the wooden house were pushed away. San Taifu Asama frowned. His face was a little bad, but he started to look at the door, so did the other samurai. Advertisement. The moment he saw Hanxing, Mitsuha Asama's face changed instantly, with a trace of worry in his eyes. Mr. Hanxing, aren't you protecting Little Snow Princess? Why are you here? Difficult. Could something happen to Little Snow Princess? Look. Who is he holding in his hand? Suddenly, someone in the crowd roared, stretched out his hand, his eyes were round, and his whole body trembled as if he had seen a ghost. The others were attracted by his exclamation, and followed the warrior's fingers. There was a sound of sucking cold air everywhere, and there was a strong disbelief in the eyes. Is this Fenghua raging wave? Can't go wrong, can't go wrong? Shouldn't he be in the palace? After a while, some samurai opened their mouths in horror, and even Mitsuha Asama was no exception. Hanxing turned a deaf ear to the other people's words, dragged Fenghua Nutao's body to Santao Asama, and said indifferently, "This is Fenghua Nutao's corpse." As he said that, he threw the dead Fenghua Nutao to Santao Asama's side. I will stay in the country of snow for a day, and after a day, no matter if Fenghua Xiaoshui takes the position or becomes an actor, I will leave. After Hanxing finished speaking, he didn't care about the expressions of Mitsuha Asama and the others. His body flashed with a flash of lightning and disappeared in place. It took a while for Hanxing to leave before Santei Asama came back to his senses. Looking at the corpse of Fenghua Nutao that had been frozen hard, everyone, including Mitsuha Asama, looked at each other and were shocked. Afterwards, everyone checked carefully, and after confirming that it was Fenghua Nutao's body, Mitsuha Asama immediately issued an order to welcome Fenghua Xiaoshui tomorrow, and spread the death of Fenghua Nutao throughout the Snow Country. Advertisement. Hearing Santao Asama's words, everyone present was full of energy. After all, after Fenghua Xiaoshui came to power, they were considered servants of the dragon, so they couldn't help but be excited. Under the orders of Asama Sandao, the number of samurai in the house became less and less, until Asama Sandao was alone. He got up, opened the window and looked into the distance, where the wind and flowers were in the direction of Xiaoshui. His eyes flickered, as deep as a black hole. He was completely different from the previous righteous Mitsuru Asama, and he didn't know what he was thinking. After a long time, he let out a sigh, and the whole person seemed to have lost a lot,
That's all. In the future, I will put away those thoughts and help little Snow Princess with peace of mind. The next day, under the leadership of Mitsuo Asama, a group of people warmly welcomed Fenghua Xiaoshui into the palace of Yuanfenghua Nutao. Under the certification of the nationals of the Snow Country in the city, Mitsuo Asama did a simple ceremony for Fenghua Xiaoshui to assume the office of the Lord of the Snow Country. Although it is simple, it is also extremely troublesome, making Fenghua Xiaoshui complaining and being extremely busy, and finally everything is ready in the evening. Fenghua Xiaoshui solemnly ascended the position of the Lord of the Snow Country. Hanxing looked at all this indifferently. After eating something at random at the ceremony, he returned to his own room. In this scene, he was not able to socialize, but the electromagnetic induction was always watching Fenghua Xiaoshui move. After today, his task of protecting Fenghua Xiaoshui will end, and tomorrow he will officially set off to return to Konoha. As for everything that happens here in the future, it will have nothing to do with him. At this moment, Fenghua Xiaoshui's human body magnetic field began to leave the crowd and move towards him. What is she doing here? Hanxing mumbled softly, somewhat confused. Dang dang. There was a knock on the door. Fenghua Xiaoshui's voice came from outside. Mr. Hanxing, are you there? Hanxing opened the door, looked at Fenghua Xiaoshui in front of him, raised his brows, and said calmly, is there something wrong? Advertisement. Fenghua Xiaoshui showed a smile, with a hint of playfulness. Why don't you invite me over to do it? Hanxing frowned even more, but still staggered a step. Fenghua Xiaoshui took this opportunity and hurriedly got into Hanxing's house. Speak. What's the matter with me? The two of them sat opposite each other on the table. Hanxing said expressionlessly. Nothing. Just come here to thank you. Fenghua Xiaoshui stood up and bowed respectfully to Hanxing. For her, the change that happened today is like a dream. But yesterday she was a down-and-out princess who was chased and killed and did not dare to show her real name. Today, he has indeed become the Lord of the Snow Country, and his father's enemy has also died. Life is so fickle. I have to thank this young man in front of me for all this. No, little man. At the same time, Fenghua Xiaoshui's cheeks were blushing, and she thought shyly, all of what he did should not be because of what I said last night. Hanxing frowned, looking at Fenghua Xiaoshui's fickle face. What's wrong with you? Are you not sick? No. Fenghua Xiaoshui hurriedly shook her head. After a pause, he said again, shyly and in a low voice, what happened last night? If you want to, I will wait for you to grow up. Last night? What was last night? Please make it clearer. Hanxing's face was a little unhappy. There were a lot of things that happened last night. How could he remember anything? This woman is also, and she can't explain it clearly, what all the mods are doing. Chapter 104 Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Don't you remember what I said last night? Fenghua Xiaoshui pointed at Hanxing, with a trace of anger and grievance in her words. Hanxing shook his head. Then why did you kill Fenghua Furious Dao all night last night? Fenghua Xiaoshui was in a hurry. I still have important things to do in Konoha, and I don't have much time here. I think that since Fenghua Nutao is your enemy, it will immediately be destroyed. If you are safe, I will be able to meet Konoha. Hanxing pondered. Voice.
As that's so, it's because I'm being affectionate. Fenghua Xiaoshui glared at Hanxing angrily.
So, please leave, you are the protagonist of tonight's banquet. Hanxing issued an order to evict the guests. Humph. Fenghua Xiaoshui snorted coldly and turned to leave. It's inexplicable, Hanxing murmured as he watched Fenghua Xiaoshui leave. Next day. The sun has just risen from the east, and there is a bright light in the sky. Hanxing woke up from his deep sleep on time. Put the written envelope on the table, the lightning flashes on your body, and leave quietly. His departure didn't disturb anyone, and he didn't want it to be troublesome. When the palace maid found out, Hanxing had already left the Snow Country. An hour later, Hanxing came to the border of the Fire Nation. In the lush forest, there is a boulevard, and you will reach Konoha Shinobi Village if you keep walking towards this avenue. Picking up the water next to him, Hanxing took a sip and hit the road again. 5 minutes later, within less than 100 miles of Konoha, Hanxing's forward foot suddenly stopped. Advertisement. A crisp flute sounded in his ears. accompanied by a wave of chakra waves that invaded his mind. Illusion, Hanxing murmured, and chakra surged, expelling the chakra that had invaded his mind. As soon as the mind moved, the electromagnetic induction on the body was activated instantly, spreading to the surrounding area. This is Shikamaru. Why is the magnetic field of the human body so weak? And, teeth. Shino, Neji, Choji. What's going on? Hanxing frowned as he looked at some weak human magnetic fields around him. Also, the human body magnetic field of those 4 people is the Sound and Ninja group. Is this Sasuke defecting? Hanxing thought of what happened in the original book. His face was a little ugly. Lightning flashes, rushing towards the person with the weakest magnetic field of the human body. Seriously, he didn't let him take a break when he just came back, and Sasuke, the king of persecution, is really an anti-bone boy. If it wasn't for the existence of Itachi, for fear of killing Sasuke and causing the mad revenge of Itachi, the Brokon, he would have been wiped out long ago. In front of a river, Ya and Akamaru gasped cautiously, dodging the pursuit of one of the 4 members of Ino Nin. Now his physical strength, chakra, is exhausted, and he and Akamaru have suffered a lot of injuries. We can only wait for the reinforcements of Konoha. If reinforcements don't arrive, it is estimated that he and Akamaru will be planted here. Hoo-hoo. Wait a minute, reinforcements should be coming soon. Ya leaned against a rock and comforted himself. Hee. I found you. How are you running? Zuo Jin and Zuo Jin suddenly appeared not far from their teeth, smiling mockingly. Don't waste your time. Play the children's hide and seek game with him. Orochimaru is still waiting for us. Right near showed his cold teeth, and said hideously. Okay. Then let's do it. I'll watch him to prevent him from escaping, Zuo Jin said sarcastically. Whoosh. When the figure near the right moved, the speed was like a cheetah, rushing towards Fang. 5 fingers formed claws, grabbing towards Fang's neck. Looking at Zuo Jin's actions, Ya smiled self-deprecatingly. It seems that I can do it to this extent. Naruto, you bastard, remember to avenge me in the future. As he said that, he looked up at the rising sun and closed his eyes with a smile on his face. Advertisement crackle. Crackle. At this moment, a burst of thunder sounded in Fang's ear, accompanied by a scream. This voice is very familiar. It is the voice of the right side, and the closed eyes quickly opened. I saw a figure in front of me, and the chest near the right was pierced by someone. The scorching high temperature carried by the thunder and lightning directly burned the chest of the right near to black, and not even a trace of blood flowed out. After clearing his sight, Ya looked at the figure not far away and showed a smile of the rest of his life. You bastard, it's finally here. After speaking, he fainted directly, and Ya knew that as long as this person was with him, he would be safe. After all, the strength of this family is far from what he can match. You bastard, I'm not your nanny, Hanxing muttered in dissatisfaction. He stretched out from his right body, raised his head, and swept towards the closest person beside him. Really, Orochimaru is also. What kind of people are there? Talk down. The whole person disappeared in the same place. Not far away, he was still shocked that his brother was killed. Seeing Hanxing disappear, a cold sweat broke out on his forehead, because he couldn't feel how the person on the other side disappeared. The incoming person is very strong, Zuo Jin secretly said in his heart, shaking his head from side to side and watching the surroundings carefully. To his disappointment, he could not feel the slightest trace of the enemy. Squeak. Squeak. Unexpected. A flash of thunder sounded beside him. He felt a pain in his chest, lowered his head, and looked at the figure who did not know when he appeared in front of him with a look of horror. A long spear composed of thunder pierced his chest directly. Looking at the young man's plane, as if looking at the eyes of ants. Advertisement. Zuo Jin closed his eyes with reluctance. Hanxing cancels chakra and walks towards the teeth not far away. Without the support of the Chidori sharp spear, Zuo Jin fell to the ground with a bang. Summons a shadow clone at will to send Toa and Akamaru to Konoha Hospital. Hanxing runs to the next location. In a forest, out of breath, hid Guidumaru with 8 trigrams 64 palms. It's a pity that all the palm power of the 64 palms was blocked by Katumaru's sticky gold. Onikidamaru has nothing at all. Tisk tisk. Little devil. You should have no chakra. Gutongmaru's mouth opened wide, and a bow and arrow made of spider web and sticky gold appeared in his hand. He pulled the bowstring with his mouth, and the bow and arrow made of sticky gold were extremely sharp and shot at Neji with great penetration. Damn it! Neji's eyes widened, chakra emanating from the acupoints all over his body, and the whole body was spinning like a spinning top. A cold cry, revolving heaven. Clang! The sharp, sticky gold arrows are directly blocked by Neji's revolving heaven. After successfully resisting the sticky golden arrow, Neji knelt with a pale face, obviously reaching the limit. Is it the limit? Kidomaru sneered. The sticky gold bow and arrow on the other hand touches the mouth again. This time, let's see what else you can resist. Chapter 105 Previous chapter Next chapter advertisement.
Don't resist. An indifferent voice suddenly appeared behind Gutongmaru, accompanied by a thunderous roar.
Kidomaru's hair stood upright. Without any hesitation, he jumped and distanced himself from the people behind him. Puff! Just as he took a step, a red thunder spear suddenly appeared in front of his chest. Yes. Damn it. Gutongmaru closed his eyes unwillingly. Until he died, he didn't know who killed him. Hanxing took back the chakra in his hand. A flash appeared in front of Neji, and his voice was flat. It's okay. No, it's fine. Neji gritted his teeth. Pale Kaido. Forget it. You can't go back to Konoha. For the sake of you being Hinata's cousin, I will show mercy and send you back to Konoha. After all, regardless of whether Neji agrees or not, Hanxing separates out a shadow clone again, carries Neji and runs towards Konoha. Next is Neji and Shikamaru. Xiao Li has nothing to do for the time being, Hanxing murmured, then sighed, alas, I'm such a busy life. In another forest, the battle between Choji and Jirobo has come to an end. Hirobo's typical gluttony, underestimating the enemy, known for his strength and earth style. In the case of opening state 2, the fighting Choji is losing ground. Even eating 2 of the family's secret pills, 3 color pills, was no match. As a last resort, Choji took out the last-minute red pepper pills with a pale face. Advertisement: this pill can increase the user's own chakra by 100 times, and the cost may be his own life. Ino Shika Cho, the Choji family represents the dish, breaking the cocoon into a butterfly. Choji recalled what his father had said before, looked at Jirobo in front of him, took out the red pepper pills with a firm face, closed his eyes, and opened his mouth to swallow. At this moment, Choji felt his hand being held firmly, and opened his eyes suspiciously. This pill is not to be taken lightly, Hanxing said with a smile. Woo! You think I want to eat? Why did you come back so late? Do you know that I'm going to drop this soon? Choji saw Hanxing first and then burst into tears. All right, next, leave it to me, you can rest on the side, Hanxing said helplessly. Oh. As soon as Hanxing opened his mouth, Choji didn't even have any humility. He ran straight to the distance, stopped on a tree, took out the snacks he didn't know where it was hidden, and began to devour it in large gulps, watching while eating. To Hanxing here. Hanxing looked at Choji's series of heartless actions, the corners of his mouth twitched. Your sister, I will help you fight, you are watching a play there, it's really okay. New reinforcements? Unlike at Choji, Jirobo looked at Hanxing with a dignified expression. He didn't notice the slightest movement when the young man appeared just now, and he didn't even know when it appeared. Earth-style tooling dango. While pondering, Jirobo quickly formed a seal with his hands, and a huge rock next to him was lifted high by him, and his arms slammed towards Hanxing. Use this to test the strength of the boy on the opposite side. The huge stone with violent power and impact, like a fired cannonball, shot directly at Hanxing. Bang! Crack! Facing the flying boulder, Hanxing's face was flat, he clenched his fist and waved his hand. One punch smashed the boulder in front of him into a piece of rubble, and a rain of rubble fell from the sky. At the same time, a powerful chakra impact centered on Hanxing's fist spread wildly forward. Advertisement: the huge impact was like a 12-level storm, making the face of Jirobo on the opposite side hurt and his eyes blurred. When Hanxing's figure moved, the red arc flashed in his hand, The speed was as fast as lightning, and afterimages were left on the ground. Earth-style Earth-shore return. When Jirobo saw Hanxing disappear, he slapped his hands on the ground no matter where Hanxing was. An earthen wall appeared in front of him. Just when he felt a sense of security in his heart, the earth wall in front of him was directly split in half by a red thunder spear. Crackle! Crackle! The thunder spear with violent energy slammed into Jirobo's chest with a thunderous momentum. Puff! Jirobo seemed to be frightened by Hanxing's sudden thunder spear, and the sharp thunder spear pierced Jin Jirobo's chest without a trace of obstruction. With the ultra-high current carried on the thunder spear, Jirobo was scorched black by the electricity and turned into a scorched corpse not long after. Shikamaru hasn't solved it yet. You can go back to Konoha by yourself. I'll go first. Hanxing suddenly appeared in front of Choji, waved his hand, didn't wait for Choji to reply, and disappeared in the next instant. At the same time, Shikamaru, because of the excessive consumption of chakra, didn't even have the strength to stand up at this time, and looked at Tayuya, who was in the second state in front of him with an ugly face, and could only be slaughtered by others. It seems, I can only get here, and I am afraid that my good wishes in the future will not be realized. The crisp flute sounded again, and the three evil ghosts behind Tayuya appeared again. With Tayuya's anger, little devil, time to hit the road. The three evil spirits waved their weapons and attacked Shikamaru. Shikamaru also closed his eyes at this time, as if he had already accepted his fate. Crackle! Crackle! Advertisement. A thunderous roar sounded in Shikamaru's ears, and as soon as he opened his eyes, he saw a red thunderbolt spear that cut the three evil ghosts in front of him in half like a rubbish sweeper. Bang bang bang! The three evil ghosts turned into three puffs of smoke and disappeared. Here, Shikamaru greeted Hanxing in front of him with a flat face. Yeah, it's the first time I've seen you so embarrassed. Hanxing laughed and teased, and the whole thing suddenly disappeared in place. Tayuya panicked in his heart, swept around vigilantly, and the crisp flute sounded hurriedly again. Suddenly, a dull voice suddenly appeared behind him. Too slow, illusion is too rubbish, it can't be compared with Itachi. Duo Yuya's whole body trembled. The hairs on his whole body suddenly rose, and a cold sweat appeared on his forehead unconsciously. Immediately afterwards, a piercing pain followed with a huge impact. The whole person is like a fired cannonball, and the body involuntarily slants forward and flies out. Boom! After piercing through many trees, the whole person finally fell to the ground. The ground suddenly cracked, and Yu Wei continued to gallop forward. Boom! Click! Click! Wherever it passes, the road is smooth, all obstacles are smashed to pieces by its body. Leave a long trail in the woods. Chapter 106. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Looking at the loud noise and dusty scene in the distance, Shikamaru felt a tingling in his scalp. Even if I knew that Hanxing is very powerful, I didn't expect it to be so powerful. Facing Tayuya, who slapped himself, he was only defeated by Hanxing with one punch. No, it was a kill. Seeing this huge movement, that woman will be disabled even if she doesn't die, and Shikamaru estimates that there is a high chance of her death. Anyway, no matter what, I'm free, I don't need to die. Shikamaru let out a long breath. Can you walk back to Konoha by yourself? Forget it, let's take you back to Konoha. After that, Hanxing separated out a shadow clone once again, picked up the somewhat confused Shikamaru, and ran towards Konoha. On the lush grass, Xiao Li and Kimimaro are fighting wildly. Unlike in the original book, Xiao Li's broken leg was stopped in time by Hanxing, so there is no Tsunade treatment. At this time, his strength is still at its peak. 8 inner gates has opened the 5th gate, his face is flushed, and the whole body is full of richness. Check the fluctuations. The figure is like lightning, and Xiao Li's figure can be seen everywhere in the entire battlefield. 1, 2. Until dense. Every punch creates a shockwave that rubs against the air, hitting the opposite Kimimaro. Boom. Boom. A series of terrifying shockwaves, some were crushed by Kimimaro, and some fell to the ground next to it. In the blink of an eye, the area around Kimimaro is full of potholes and a mess. Speaking of which, Kimimaro and Xiao Li are pure taijutsu ninjas. Advertisement, but Kimimaro's dead bone pulse is a bit of a physical technique that restrains Xiao Li. Dead bone pulse can turn the bones of the body into weapons, which are far sharper than iron weapons. Every time Xiao Li wants to fight Kimimaro closely, and every few sneak attacks from Kimimaro dead bone pulse that he has to guard against, this makes his combat power a little discounted. Besides, the lotus flower and table lotus flower cannot be used at all. This is a melee trick. I'm afraid that as soon as he grabbed someone's body, the bones in Kimimaro's body came out to attack. Therefore, in this battle, Xiao Li was a little frustrated. Originally, Xiao Li meant that after opening the fifth gate, at a very fast speed, before Kimimaro could react, he grabbed him and used Lilianhua to end the battle with one blow. What he didn't expect was that as soon as he opened the fifth gate, Kimimaro opened the spell and his strength increased exponentially. Kimimaro's strength is stronger than that of Xiao Li. He may not be as powerful as Xiao Li at fifth gate when he unlocks the spell, but it's not much different. Under the grievance of wireless, Xiao Li had to send shockwaves at Kimimaro. Unfortunately, it doesn't work at all. It didn't take long for the effect of 8 inner gates to disappear. The side effects began, and Xiao Li stood not far from Kimimaro with a pale face. Has that forbidden technique disappeared? Kimimaro murmured as he looked at Xiao Li opposite. Call out. Kimimaro's figure is flashing, and the speed is extremely fast, like a cheetah running at full speed. Appeared in front of Xiao Li almost in an instant. The spine bone in his hand turned into a long whip, and he swung it violently at Xiao Li in front of him. The white spine is extremely sharp, and Xiao Li's pupils are constricted, but he knows how powerful this spine is. With the help of a tumbling body, he managed to dodge Kimimaro's blow. Advertisement Xiao Li was sitting in his mouth wearing rough clothes and sweating on his forehead. Because of the side effects of 8 inner gates, his body was about to reach its limit. At this moment, he felt a darkness above his head, and Kimimaro's figure appeared in front of him at some point. The bone in his hand turned into a long bone spur. Reach out and stab at Xiao Li's abdomen. Indifferent and serious, goodbye. You are a good opponent.
Xiao Li's pupils dilated and his heart was beating violently. At this time, he couldn't dodge if he wanted to, so he could only watch the bone spurs in front of him constantly enlarge in front of him.
Whoosh! At this critical moment, Xiao Li's figure suddenly disappeared in place. Kimimaro's eyes were neither happy nor sad, looking at the sudden appearance, reinforcement.
Hanxing, you're here. Xiao Li patted his chest with a hint of surprise on his face. He was afraid that it was too thrilling. It was too thrilling. It was just a little bit.
Separated a shadow clone to bring Xiao Li back to Konoha Hospital, Hanxing turned his head and said in a flat tone, Kagaya Kimimaro? How did you know my name? Kimimaro looked suspicious. Your lifespan should not be long, right? How did you know that? Kimimaro was even more puzzled. The Wei Yoruichi clan has been suffering from bloodline disease since ancient times. The more you use dead bone pulse, the shorter your lifespan. Seeing how you just fought with Xiao Li, blood is coughing up from time to time. This time, you want to die in battle and do your best for Orochimaru. Do your part. Kimimaro is silent. Apparently doing this. Alas, Hanxing sighed. For Kimimaro, Hanxing has appreciation and admiration, most of which is pity. Kimimaro was born to fight and was imprisoned by his tribe as a human shield and weapon when he was a child. Advertisement later, the Wei Yoruichi clan attacked Kirigakure, and the secret weapon of Kimimaro was released. Finally, the Wei Yoruichi clan was exterminated. Kimimaro participated in the battle and survived, and was taken away by Orochimaru. After that, he was brainwashed by Orochimaru, worshipped Orochimaru extremely, and was willing to be Orochimaru's reincarnation vessel. In the end, it was found that his lifespan was short, and he was willing to use his last life to bring the reincarnation vessel Sasuke for Orochimaru. It can be said that Kimimaro has spent his whole life in grief. Like Bai, he is living as a tool, and he is willing to be a tool of Orochimaru. I have never thought of living for myself once in my life. Hey. Go ahead. Use your strongest moves. Hanxing sighed, sympathy for sympathy, but as an enemy. Hanxing won't keep his hands, he will only give him a good time. Kimimaro looked at Hanxing with a serious expression, feeling the pressure coming from the opposite person. Without any hesitation, State 2 was turned on. He had only felt this kind of coercion in one person, and that was Lord Orochimaru. What? Kimimaro, a high roar. The curse mark on his face spread rapidly towards Kimimaro's whole body like a vine. Wherever he passed, it seemed to be burned by sparks, turning black. The powerful purple-black chuck appeared unconsciously around him, gloomy, dark, and all kinds of negative emotions were produced unconsciously. A powerful storm appeared with the purple-black chakra and spread to the surrounding. On the ground, within a radius of 100 meters with Kimimaro as the center, the cracks began to crack down rapidly, and the cracks like spider webs spread rapidly around. At some point in the sky, a dark cloud appeared and blocked the bright sunshine, making the sky a little darker. Chapter 107 Previous chapter Next chapter Advertisement. At this time, Kimimaro is like a Super Saiyan transformed. The only difference is that the Super Saiyan has become a hair, and he has become a body. He has no thick, strong white bones all over his body. These bones are strong and sharp. Even under this gloomy sky, the fierce cold light can be reflected. Pat. Pat. Behind him, a gray lizard-like tail slapped the ground powerfully. Every time you slap, the cracked ground will seep down another point, enough to see the strength of the tail. He looked at Hanxing indifferently, stretched out his palm, and his bone arm spread to form a huge bone spear in the blink of an eye. Call out. As if stepping on the air, Kimimaro appeared in front of Hanxing with a burst of pop. With a wave of his hand, the huge bone spear slammed into Hanxing's body with a sharp cold glow and an indomitable impact. Boo! Kimimaro's bone spear pierced Hanxing's body as if he was slammed into the water. Kimimaro frowned. He raised his head and looked at the figure on the other side with an indifferent expression. Just about to pull it out. Crackle! Crackle! Suddenly, Hanxing's body was pierced, exuding endless red current. Click! Click! The red electric current is not only extremely powerful, but also extremely destructive. In just a moment, the red electric current eroded Kimimaro's bone spear into a pile of shattered bone fragments. Advertisement. At the moment when the bone spear shattered, Kimimaro took this opportunity to withdraw his palm from the depths. Looking at Hanxing's eyes, add a dignified look. This guy is not only powerful, but also has a hydration technique similar to that of the Shui Wuyue family. The only difference is that the Shui Wuyue clan turned into a pool of water, but this guy turned into lightning. Cough cough. Kimimaro, who was thinking about it, suddenly started to cough, and a trace of blood flowed out of his mouth. Is time running out? Kimimaro muses, feeling his life go by. In this case, before leaving, block this guy for some time. Kimimaro secretly decided. The whole body of chakra surged suddenly, without any reservation. The gusts of wind caused by the huge chakra raged around. Kimimaro made a quick seal with both hands, and when the last seal fell, he roared, and there was a hint of hideousness on his face. Dance of the early fern, peefed. Just after shouting, Kimimaro gushed out a mouthful of blood. Boom! The ground began to vibrate violently, like an earthquake of magnitude 7 or 8. Puff! Puff! Huge bone spurs rose from the ground, covering the surrounding kilometer range in the blink of an eye. These bone spurs are not only extremely sharp, but also incomparable in penetration. Hanxing can feel the cold light from them. The huge bone spurs are as thick as a big tree, covering the sky and turning this place into a bone domain, completely wrapping Hanxing's body. You want to block me with these bone spurs? Advertisement? Hanxing swept away the densely packed bones around him, his tone still as indifferent as before. Cough. I can't do it. I know it's not your opponent, and I never wanted to hit you. My task is to hold you back. Kimimaro vomited blood, his voice was a little panting, and even the second state disappeared unconsciously after using this trick and returned to his original appearance. It looks like it has entered the dry ground. You can't stop me with this move. Hanxing's expression was indifferent. While speaking, he became elemental, and passed through a bone spur, like a demonstration to Kimimaro. I know, But the bone spur has such a large range, you can't use this trick all the time. Even if you keep going out with this trick, how many chakras do you have left? Kimimaro spoke flatly, with a smile on the corner of his mouth, as if he could drag Hanxing, the strong man, for a while, and finally be happy to buy time for Sasuke. You think too much. Your move doesn't work for me at all. Never mind. Let you see how I destroyed your dance of the ferns before you die. Hanxing shook his head slightly, walked to a bone spur, and moved his mind. An inexplicable aura emanated from his body, covering Kimimaro's bones in the blink of an eye. Reach out and touch. Crackle. Crackle. The huge bone spur in front of him instantly turned into a red thunder. Then, with Hanxing as the center, except for Kimimaro, it was like a plowing field. It was originally a bone domain of white bones, but it instantly transformed into a thunder sea composed of red lightning. Those white bones are the nourishment for red thunder. Kimimaro was stunned to see all this, a little unbelievable. This method subverts his worldview in the ninja world. If it weren't for the red thunder and lightning in front of him, he would have suspected that he was dreaming. Hanxing raised his hand, and the surrounding red lightning dissipated, leaving behind a scorched black and hot ground. Advertisement. Kimimaro looked at this god-like means, with a bitter smile on the corner of his mouth, and snorted. He spit out a mouthful of blood again, and asked angrily, "What is your trick called?" Hanxing stepped forward, and a faint word followed. Awakening of thunder. Turn all materialized things into the lightning field that I want. The sound is getting farther and farther, and it is getting smaller and smaller. Awakening of thunder. Kimimaro murmured in his mouth, raised his head, glanced at the sun that appeared at an unknown time, and said disappointedly, "Lord Orochimaru, I will not be able to serve you in the future. You have to take care." When the words fell, Kimimaro closed his eyes and passed away. In the distance, Hanxing, who was walking, paused in his steps, and then turned into a lightning bolt and disappeared in place. The direction is the Valley of the End. If he guessed correctly, Naruto and Sasuke have already started fighting. "I hope you guys don't finish the fight," Hanxing murmured. A trace of ferocity flashed in his eyes. Uchiha Sasuke. This time, Hanxing intends to teach him a lesson he will never forget. If it weren't for this scoundrel boy, Shikamaru and the others would not have been in danger and almost lost their lives. Speaking of this, Hanxing's heart is full of anger. Naruto is a big fool. If Sasuke is kidnapped by the people of Yinan village, he won't say anything, and he will even help. But the truth is, in order to gain strength and defeat Uchiha Itachi, these 2 or 5 boys voluntarily threw themselves into the darkness to become slaves of strength and joined Orochi. This is a serious sentence to the village, and I don't know what Tsunade is thinking. Does the IQ all grow on the pair of stalwarts in front of him? Don't move your head at all, and listen to Naruto's words, rescue Sasuke. If he hadn't come in time, Shikamaru. Forget it. Hanxing took a deep breath and threw out the distracting thoughts in his mind. I hope you two haven't finished playing yet. Chapter 108. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. With Hanxing full of anger, Naruto and Sasuke have reached the end of their battle in the Valley of the End. At this time, the 9 tails chakra covered by Naruto's whole body, and behind it, a tail made of red chakra, swaying back and forth. The eyes have turned into vertical eyes, and the tail beast mode has been activated. Sasuke opened the second curse mark. A fleshy wing grew out of his back, his skin became a little gray, a big black cross mark on his nose, and a pair of scarlet 3-tomo Sharingan. Naruto stared at. Naruto. This battle should be over. Sasuke opened the Chidori and held the black Chidori. This is the result of the bonus of the Chidori. Naruto is dressed in 9 tails and holds a red Rasengan in one hand. I will never give you to Orochimaru. With a loud roar, Naruto galloped towards Sasuke under the blessing of 9 tails, as if stepping on the air. Not to be outdone, Sasuke spread his wings behind his back and rushed towards Naruto like a thunderbolt. Chidori. Rasengan. When the two met, they directly slammed the trick in their hands to the opposite side. Boom. Boom. Like a comet hitting the earth, a huge shock wave spreads rapidly around 1 or 2 people. On the lake, the seawater around the two of them rose out of thin air, and huge waves rose. It poured around the two of them, and a rainbow appeared under the sunlight. In midair, one red and one blue streamer shrouded the entire valley of the end. A dark black energy enchantment was formed. At its center is a dense purple lightning bolt, accompanied by a tremor in the space. Two dazzling streamers are dazzling, in a world that is all white. The dark black energy barrier disappeared. Advertisement. Pat. Naruto fell unconscious from midair on the thigh of the giant stone statue, and a trace of bright red blood slowly flowed from his chest. Sasuke stood on another stone statue, gasping for breath. Now he is using the second spell for the first time, and he is not very proficient. After resting for a while, Sasuke recovered a little, glanced down at Naruto with complicated eyes, turned and walked towards Orochimaru firmly. For strength, he is willing to give up everything. Do you want to leave? Suddenly, a faint sound appeared behind him. Sasuke's body trembled, and he would never forget this voice for the rest of his life. Turning around, he said with a gloomy face, Chiba Hanxing. It's me. I didn't expect me to come here. Hanxing had a smile on his face, and his voice was really cold. After handing out a shadow clone to take Naruto away, he said indifferently, you know, it's because of you. Neji, Xiao Li, Shikamaru, Choji, and Ya and the others fought with the sound and ninja and almost lost their lives. If I hadn't been saved in time. So, are you going to bring me back to Konoha? Sasuke's eyes were filled with disdain. Bring back Konoha? Hanxing sneered. Do you think I will let you go back to Konoha again? Speaking of which, it's been a while since you graduated from ninja school. Let me see your progress during this time, or the power you got from Orochimaru. Hanxing's tone was flat, and his eyes were extremely sharp, like a sharp arrow hitting Sasuke not far away, and the majestic power suddenly erupted from him. It was so surging like seawater that Sasuke turned pale and breathless. I thought to myself, is this Hanxing's strength? Just relying on coercion makes me a little breathless. Silver Teeth nod, and the curse was activated in an instant, and he yelled with a little jealousy, don't think that I'm still who I was a few months ago. You won't understand this unprecedented power. Advertisement. Sasuke looked ferocious, and his face was full of infatuation. This time, let's see for yourself the power I get from Orochimaru, Sasuke sneered. The black Chidori instantly condensed. With the wings on the back, a gust of wind flew towards Hanxing. You actually used mine against me? Don't you know that I am the ancestor of mine? Hanxing looked playful, his body motionless waiting for Sasuke's arrival. You will pay for your arrogance. Seeing Hanxing's actions, Sasuke's expression was extremely angry, and a nameless fire rushed to his heart, and the black Chidori added another portion. Squeak. Bang. What? How is that possible? Sasuke looked at the picture in front of him, in shock with disbelief and panic. His proud black Chidori was held in one hand by Hanxing. The black Chidori didn't do any damage to Hanxing's palm, which made it hard for him to accept it. You know, he still used your trick to defeat Naruto, the tailed beast. Is that so? If so, can you bear the price of angering me? Hanxing said coldly. When the words fell, the arm holding Sasuke's palm yanked violently. Sasuke's body flew towards him instantly, and his knees slammed against Sasuke's stomach. Puff. Sasuke, who was in self-doubt, was suddenly attacked by Hanxing, and a mouthful of blood was sprayed out. Released his hand, Sasuke clutched his stomach and knelt on the river. Apparently the cramps and pain in his stomach made him a little uneasy. Boom. Advertisement. Another quick kick from Hanxing swept Sasuke's face. Sasuke's whole figure is like someone throwing stones into the river, splashing a large piece of water on the river. With a roar, Sasuke's body slammed into a statue not far away. Cough. You? Sasuke was spitting blood, driving a pair of Sharingans, with a hint of panic in his eyes. What are you? Hanxing's face was expressionless. You know, because of you, the anti-Bone Boy, the younger generation of our Konoha almost died. I won't care if you want to leave Konoha, for some reason I won't kill you. But, Hanxing's voice changed, with a hint of coldness in his tone, the ninjutsu you learned in Konoha over the years will make me useless. Broken? Ninjutsu learned from me. How can you abolish it? Seal. Sasuke sneered at this moment without letting go of Uchiha's arrogance. It's very simple. Just chop off your hands. Hanxing's tone was soothing, and Sasuke's hair stood on end. You want to chop off my hands? Sasuke paled with a hint of panic in his eyes. What do you think? As Hanxing spoke, chakra gathered in his hands, and after a while, a red thunder sword appeared in his hands. Don't worry. When you arrive at Orochimaru, he will give you another pair of intact arms. These arms will be the price of your defecting to Konoha. Hanxing's tone was cold, like a messenger from hell, making Sasuke shudder. Hanxing-kun is joking. Suddenly, a hoarse voice sounded behind Hanxing. Chapter 109 Previous chapter Next chapter Advertisement. Hanxing-kun is joking. Suddenly, a hoarse voice sounded behind Hanxing. Hanxing turned his head, Orochimaru, and appeared not far behind Hanxing, and walked towards this side at an even speed. Just kidding. Do you think I'm joking? Hanxing sneered. Speaking of which, you are the one who caused all this to happen, Orochimaru. Shing-kun. Give me a face. I'll take Sasuke. Whatever you want, as long as I have it, I will give it to you. Orochimaru showed his long tongue and licked his mouth in disgust. Your face? If Orochimaru was at your peak, maybe I'll give it to you, but now you're just a rubbish who doesn't know how to ninjutsu, and I can hang you too if you say something bad, so why give it to you? Your face? Hanxing said with a disdainful smile. Orochimaru does have a lot of good stuff there, such as first-generation cells, impure world reincarnation. But Hanxing didn't dare to ask for these things. To put it in a nasty way, if Orochimaru got entangled in some of these things, then he. Moreover, the Orochimaru family is very tough. They can't kill them even if they kill them, and there are many secret nests, so in the end, it will only waste endless time. So, Star-kun must have had a fight with me? Orochimaru's face suddenly turned gloomy, and a trace of killing intent flowed out unconsciously. Yeah. I'd love to see how good Orochimaru, one of the Sanins, is, Hanxing said with a smile. The atmosphere suddenly became solemn. Lord Hanxing. Look at this. As long as you let Sasuke leave with us, Orochimaru-sama owes you 3 favors. He raised his glasses. No, I said it. I'm going to chop off both Sasuke's arms today. You can't stop me. Advertisement. Hanxing turned around, and the red thunder sword did not hesitate to look at Sasuke's arms. Call out. At this moment, behind Hanxing, there was a sound of breaking the air, and Orochimaru stretched out his long neck and took a big mouth. The razor-sharp pheasant sword was rolled by Orochimaru's tongue and attacked Hanxing. With the chakra knife in hand, follow. That's fine. Let me experience the power of Orochimaru, the leader of Sannin in the past. Last time, it wasn't fun to play. Hanxing opened his mouth coldly, his figure flashed, and the whole person suddenly disappeared in place. The lightning flashes in both hands, and the 1,000 birds chirping to return to peace. Rakery with both hands is completed in an instant. With a hint of excitement in his eyes, Rakery instantly attacked the pheasant sword on Orochimaru's tongue. The Rakery on the other hand moved with Hanxing's thoughts, and a huge red thunder tiger suddenly appeared, and with a flick of Hanxing, it suddenly walked towards the slaughter that was coming. When Hanxing's red Rakery suddenly collided with Orochimaru's pheasant sword, making a dull sound. The Orochi's grass pheasant sword is an artifact created by the country of craftsmen. It can not only conduct chakra well, but also is extremely sharp. But at the moment of collision with Hanxing, the sharp grass pheasant sword instantly turned a little brown, and a pungent burning iron smell rose. In Orochimaru's somewhat shocked eyes, a crack appeared on the sharp grass pheasant sword where it collided with Hanxing Rakery. Then the crack got bigger and bigger, and there was a click. A small shard of the pheasant sword fell from it. Taking advantage of this, Hanxing clenched his fist with the other hand, and the rich chakra instantly gathered, attacking Orochimaru's stomach with lightning speed. Boom! Advertisement. The dull body blow sounded. Hanxing's fist slammed into Orochimaru's belly. The violent energy and the huge chakra impact knocked Orochimaru out in an instant. Rumbling, Orochimaru left a long ripple on the surface of the water, and he rushed into the forest in the distance, and disappeared in Hanxing's eyes after smashing through an unknown number of trees. Hanxing turned his head and glanced at the one who was dodging the Thunder Tiger's attack. The lightning flashed and disappeared in place. In the punch just now, Hanxing really hit Orochimaru, but for some reason, after hitting Orochimaru, the power on Orochimaru dropped by half. Therefore, Hanxing believed that Orochimaru would be fine, will pack up. In the blink of an eye, Hanxing's body appeared in front of him. The red thunder arc flashed, and a long red thunder spear appeared in Hanxing's hand. He stabbed at the body he was aiming at, Lord Orochimaru. Looking at Orochimaru, who was knocked out, his expression was a little shocked. No, hurry up and leave, thinking to himself. Orochimaru and Hanxing were kicked away after a fight. What is he doing here alone now? Looking for death? At least wait for the return of Lord Orochimaru? After making up your mind, print quickly. Chakra suddenly burst into his mouth and shouted, Water-style water dragon bomb technique. Since it is right by the lake, using a water shield has a bonus, so the voice fell. A huge water dragon burst out of the river. With its teeth and claws, it is majestic. After the water dragon appears, one step back, it is about to run towards the direction of Orochimaru flying backwards. Just then, there was a thunderous sound behind him. The complexion changed, and the body involuntarily flashed to the side. Puff! Advertisement, but the speed is still slow. Hanxing's long spear directly picks it out. Puff! The moment in front of him turned into a water stain and fell into the water. Is it water? Hanxing murmured, and the electromagnetic induction spread out instantly. It's a bit smart, but unfortunately in the face of great strength, all conspiracies are jokes. With a sneer, Hanxing's body disappeared again and rushed towards Uchiha Sasuke. In the electromagnetic induction, it is running towards Sasuke. Crackle! Crackle! In the flickering figure, Hanxing gathered a strong thunder attribute chakra with both hands. Look down not far ahead. The violent thunder and lightning with extremely high current converged into a huge red electric snake in an instant. The water conducts electricity, and the entire lake makes a slight arc sound because of the influx of electric snakes into the lake. Wow! The whole person flew out of the lake in an instant, and the body flashed red electric arcs that were on and off. Hanxing, who had been waiting for a long time, suddenly appeared in front of him when he rushed out of the water. The red rakery stabbed straight into the chest. If this is stabbed, Kabuto, the big snake in the later stage of Hokage, will probably disappear. Chapter 110 Previous chapter Next chapter advertisement. At this time, due to the conduction of electricity in the water, the whole body is still a little paralyzed, and the movement is a little slow, and there is no time to dodge and seal. You can only wait in horror for death to come. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, a white shadow suddenly appeared, like a stream of white light, extremely fast, entangled in an instant, and disappeared in place. Hanxing raised his head. Orochimaru, you're not dead yet? It seems that that blow is useless to you. Anyway, don't be in a hurry, there is time. You two want to take Uchiha Sasuke away. You have to beat me. Hanxing sneered. Hanxing-kun, does it really have to be like this? Orochimaru stared at Hanxing with a pair of beast eyes. His voice was cold to the bone, next to him who was almost killed by Hanxing. What do you think? I must have Sasuke's arms today, you two can't stop me. Then he turned his head and looked at Erzu, who was a little frightened. Konoha doesn't come when you say it, you leave when you say it, and if you want to leave, you always have to leave something behind. I'm not the big-chested kind of teacher Tsunade. A brainless person who just listens to Naruto's words and is soft-hearted. Shing-kun is determined to fight us to the death, right? You say yes. Hanxing shrugged. Sasuke leaves 2 arms, I let him go, but don't stay. As long as I keep staring at Sasuke, the 2 of you won't be able to take him away. It's even possible. Hanxing sneered, you 2 have to stay alive. When his body condensed, Hanxing said that he was the one who left his life without thinking. In this, Sasuke Hanxing would not kill, and Orochimaru's strange abilities would not die. The only one who could die was himself, and his strength was also weak. Let's talk about it. With Sasuke's 2 arms abolished, with your level of research, can't you restore him to his original shape? Hanxing's words were very relaxed and casual. But Sasuke, who was not far away, felt like falling into an ice cave. The whole person was cold. At the same time, he also realized once again how serious the consequences of angering Hanxing were. Xing-kun. It seems that I won't be able to take Sasuke back if I don't defeat you today. Orochimaru stared at Hanxing with a pair of vertical eyes. His voice was hoarse, but he had murderous intent. Advertisement. He stretched out his hand slowly, took command in an instant, bit his finger, wiped Orochimaru's arm, and his hands quickly formed a seal. With a loud drink, summoning technique, a purple-striped, huge purple snake appeared under the two of Orochimaru. This is Orochimaru's strongest summoning beast, the 10,000 snakes. Wow! 10,000 snakes fell into the water, splashing pieces of water. It stood up, swallowing snake letters, and its body of more than 10 meters was like a giant beast awakened in ancient times, covering the sky and the sun. Orochimaru. What's the matter with calling me here? Just remember to prepare 100 offerings. Sheku opened wide, and his voice was like Hong Zhong Dalu, extremely unrestrained. Don't worry, Lord Wansha, when the matter in front of you is resolved, 100 human sacrifices will be given to you in time. Squat down and say respectfully. That's good. The opponent is that kid. You're going back more and more, and trouble me with such trivial things. The snake's head twisted and looked up at Hanxing, with dissatisfaction in his reckless voice. Master Wanshi. Don't underestimate him. Just as he was about to say something, he was interrupted by the 10,000 snakes under him. Don't talk nonsense, I still want to go back to take a nap. This kind of little guy, I can swallow it. Proud, conceited, arrogant, this is Hanxing's evaluation of Wansha. Call out. 10,000 snakes are huge, but extremely flexible, and their speed is also extremely amazing. While walking, Hanxing appeared above Hanxing, opened his mouth full of fishy smell, and swallowed Hanxing below. Advertisement squeak. Red thunder filled Hanxing's palm, and in the blink of an eye, a huge long sword several meters long appeared in his hand. Looking at the approaching 10,000 snakes, Hanxing raised his palms and waved them vertically. Just like the collapse of the giant pillar, the red long sword with a sharp cold glow and a powerful impact, carrying the might of thunder and lightning to destroy the world, slashed at the snakes. The 10,000 snakes and snakes turned, changed direction and attacked Hanxing again. Hanxing sneered. Holding the giant thunderbolt across his chest, his mind moved. Thousands of sharp books sprang out from the giant sword like arrows, shooting at one snake and others not far away. Wow! Trouble brat, I'll eat you when my uncle swims by your side, one snake said bloodthirsty. The entire snake body including the sudden escape into the lake. Oops! Seeing this on his back, he secretly thought that something was wrong. He was electrocuted by Hanxing just because he was in the water. Just when I was about to open my mouth to remind, one snake's flexible body has taken them both into the water. Seeing this, regardless of the 10,000 snakes, I rushed out of the sea with Orochimaru in my arms. Hee. Idiot! Hanxing sneered. The body jumped up, and the thunder giant sword in his hand was directly inserted into the water. As soon as it was inserted into the lake, it jumped out of the lake holding Orochimaru. It's not stupid, Hanxing murmured when he saw this. Suddenly, advertisement Orochimaru in midair and seized the opportunity to shoot instantly. Hold Orochimaru in one hand, and make a quick knot with the other. Orochimaru, on the other hand, directly stretched his neck and shattered a small half of the grass pheasant sword and attacked Hanxing. Unbelievable. The corner of the mouth twitched, the other hand, the red thunder flashed and turned into a spear and stabbed. As for Orochimaru's attack, it was ignored by Hanxing. Orochimaru's hands are now sealed, and only this set of soft body techniques can be used. Ordinary people might be a little scared, but Hanxing is not so scared. Elementalization can be said to be the nemesis of physical arts. At the same time, the calm lake suddenly swayed with ripples due to the insertion of Hanxing's great thunder sword. Lightning, which is many times stronger than the high-voltage current, began to spread rapidly in the lake. The entire lake suddenly seemed to be dyed with a red light, like the sky-burning clouds. It was truly beautiful. In the lake, Wan Snake, who was still a little confused about how the big snake left, felt the strong current flowing in the lake, and a strong pain in his body. Paralysis hit. It didn't take long for it to feel a hint of lagoon smell on its body. Without the slightest hesitation, he returned to the Dailong cave, and if he stayed any longer, he would be electrocuted to death. In my heart, Vice Admiral secretly wrote down what happened today, and I will ask Orochi for more sacrifices to make up for it in the future. Boom! With a puff of smoke rising from the sea, Hanxing retracted, the giant sword in his hand. Chapter 111. Previous chapter. Next chapter advertisement. At this time, the end of the knot is also coming to an end, only to hear him shout, water-style water dragon bomb technique. A huge, lifelike water dragon suddenly rose from the lake, and its ferocious head was biting towards Hanxing. And Orochimaru's attack came to Hanxing. There are up and down, and the enemy is on both sides. Hanxing didn't rush, first aimed the lightning spear at the water dragon below. Then, at the moment when the serpent attacked him, he became an element. Crackling, crackling, crackling. The water dragon below was not blocked by Hanxing's long spear, and it was picked into a water stain and fell into the lake. Orochimaru is a thunderbolt elementalized by Hanxing. The electric hair explodes, and the skin is blackened. The person holding Orochimaru is also implicated, and the fate of Orochimaru is the same. At this time, above the Orochimaru too, a powerful whip leg crashed down. Not good. A dark voice murmured. Orochi's pupils shrink. At this time, the electric current on their bodies did not dissipate, and they were still in midair, and their bodies were still somewhat paralyzed. They couldn't escape Hanxing's sudden kick. Boom! The dull sound of physical blows sounded, and the two of Orochimaru fell down like bullets. Wow! Advertisement. Fall into the lake and make a splash. Crackle! Crackle! Suddenly, a huge Rasengan appeared in Hanxing's hands, covered with red thunder. Lightning-style spiral shuriken. Hanxing's face was indifferent, and he threw it towards the lake below. Wow! The calm surface of the lake was quiet at first. Then, like boiling hot water, it turned over the river and stirred the sea to raise large waves. The center of Rasengan's whereabouts, a huge vortex, spans the entire lake, and one after another of red electric arcs swims back and forth like lion majesty, dyeing the entire lake in blood. Looking down from the sky, the entire lake is like a portal linking the abyss, which makes people numb and horrified. This time, I'll see how you can escape. Hanxing sneered as he felt the two weaker and weaker magnetic fields of the human body below. Suddenly, the smile at the corner of Hanxing's mouth stiffened, and his face instantly turned blue. The two magnetic fields of the human body that were getting weaker and weaker just now, and then suddenly one, and then all the three magnetic fields of the human body disappeared. Space ninjutsu. Was it the same way that Sasuke was blown up by Deidara? Hanxing frowned in thought. Call out. A figure appeared on the edge of the lake, staring at Hanxing in midair with a look of horror. That person is none other than Kakashi. Kakashi-sensei. Why are you here? Hanxing fell from the evacuation and said with a smile. Sasuke was stopped by you? Isn't there 4 people here? Kakashi looked at Hanxing in surprise. Advertisement. He knew from Parker's sense of smell that there were 4 people here. How did it become 2 people now? Don't say it. Orochimaru and those 2 guys, their lives are not ordinary. They were about to die. Who would have suddenly disappeared? Hanxing put away his smile. His expression was a little ugly. The corners of Kakashi's mouth twitched and he complained in his heart. Who is Orochimaru? Formerly the strongest among the Sannin, the frontline commander of the 3 wars. No matter in terms of strength, combat power, or brains, he is much more powerful than Danzo. If it's so easy for you to kill, it's still Orochimaru. Can this river go away? Kakashi pointed to the still unsettled lake surface and changed the subject. After all, he must not be beaten to the point of autism. Speaking of which, he is considered a first-class genius in Konoha, but he has to be compared with Hanxing. Well, there is no comparison between the two. Oh. Wait a minute. Hanxing took a step forward and put a hand into the lake. In the blink of an eye, the red arc in the lake disappeared, and the lake water became clear. Kakashi looked at the miraculous scene in front of him, and the envy in his eyes flashed away. What about Sasuke? Should I take it or you? Kakashi swept away Sasuke, who was still a little panicked, and asked with a serious expression. Take it away. I just got back. I haven't had a rest yet, so I caught up with this, Hanxing complained slightly. Well then, I'll take him to 5th Hokage for disposal. Okay. I'll go first. Hanxing waved his hand, and his figure turned into an electric light and disappeared from Kakashi's sight. A pity in his heart, he wanted to take advantage of Orochimaru's disappearance. Hanxing wanted to cut off Sasuke's 2 arms silently, but whoever thought that Kakashi's time would come, can only say that Sasuke is worthy of being one of the protagonists of this world. Kakashi came so timely. While thinking about it, Hanxing has passed through the Konoha gate and came to the Hokage building. The figure paused, revealed the figure, and walked towards the inside. After all, this is where Hokage works, and Tsunade is his own teacher, so he can't be so reckless. Walking to the gate, Hanxing pushed the door directly in. As soon as he entered, he saw Tsunade hid the wine in a hurry. After seeing Hanxing, he breathed a sigh of relief, patted his chest, and continued drinking. Advertisement, mission completed. Yeah, Hanxing nodded, informing Tsunade of what happened in the snow country. Tsunade looked indifferent, as if he had expected it. You have expected everything about the snow country? Hanxing said in surprise. What virtue was his teacher? He knew very well. When did he have the ability to predict the future? I don't know. Tsunade shrugged. Then why aren't you shocked at all? Should I be shocked? Tsunade asked rhetorically. Okay. I was suspicious. By the way, Hanxing gave a wry smile, and then told Tsunade about coming back today, killing the 5 Yinan people, and fighting Orochi in the Valley of the End. You mean the 5 of them were wiped out by you? Orochimaru was driven away by you, and Uchiha Sasuke is on his way to be brought back by Kakashi? Tsunade exclaimed a moment later. Right. The only bad thing is that Orochimaru's life was too hard. He didn't kill him, Hanxing said resentfully. Come on, boy, still not satisfied with this? Go to God. Orochimaru and your teacher and I are both Sannin. There are countless secrets in my hands. If you really can kill him, then he will not be Orochimaru. Tsunade annoyed way. How are you doing about Sasuke? Hanxing asked after a moment of silence. Hearing this, Tsunade suddenly stopped talking. After a while, he sighed and said, I originally meant to use the strength of the 4 of them to let Shikamaru and the others actually fight, who would have destroyed them all by you. Chapter 112 Previous chapter Next chapter Advertisement. To be honest, it doesn't matter whether Sasuke returns or not. Konoha owes Uchiha. Uchiha Itachi is too much. So, because of my appearance, your plans have been disrupted? Hanxing raised his brows. That's right. Then what now? Sasuke should be brought back by Kakashi right away. What can I do? Just pretend it never happened. If Sasuke wants to go to Orochimaru, he will always find a way to go by himself. Tsunade had a headache. Did he keep everything he learned from Konoha when he left? Hanxing's expression changed and he said coldly. What's left? Tsunade didn't convert. Hands. Konoha has taken care of him for so many years and taught him so much ninjutsu. Now that I want to turn to the enemy, it's not an exaggeration to ask him to have both hands, Hanxing said solemnly. Your appearance makes me a little scared. This is the first time I see you like this. Tsunade frowned, somewhat unaccustomed to Hanxing's cold-blooded appearance. No way. I don't want our Konoha to have another big enemy in the future. After all, the destruction of the Uchiha family still belongs to Konoha in the final analysis. Hanxing shrugged. You even know about Uchiha's genocide? Tsunade opened his mouth slightly, and the surprise in his eyes was undisguised. These secret things, but after she became Hokage, she learned about some secret information. How did Hanxing know? Is it hard to guess? The Uchiha clan was exterminated by Uchiha Itachi. You can fool the children. Really wait until Uchiha Sasuke matures. Will you find all the problems in it? First of all, the Uchiha clan, as the Konoha clan, there are not 1,000 or a few hundred in number. Just a 13 or 14-year-old child of Uchiha Itachi can wipe out the Uchiha clan? Advertisement, stop joking. Do you think that the Uchiha family are all pigs, and let them be slaughtered? Besides, the Uchiha family are not pigs. Secondly, the night the Uchiha clan exterminated the clan, the smell of blood and the screams were so loud. No one in the annex passed by? No one knew about it? Only after the clan was exterminated? Don't be stupid. If there is no Yuan Fei here, who would believe Hiruzen's advice? Hanxing pouted in disdain. These are all your guesses? Tsunade heard Hanxing's words and pointed with a jade hand, and he couldn't believe it. Of course. Don't say it's me. As long as your brain is a little bit smarter, you will figure out the problem inside. Now that Uchiha Sasuke is still young, Isshin will identify the enemy as Uchiha Itachi. When he grows up, or kills Uchiha Itachi, next up is Konoha. Hanxing lied without blushing. Oh, forget it. Forget it. I'm thinking about it. Tsunade covered his forehead, feeling that Hanxing's methods were a little cold-blooded. That's fine. You can make a decision anyway. The big deal, if Sasuke really comes to attack Konoha in the future, I'll kill him, Hanxing said nonchalantly. Yeah. With your evil talent, you don't have to be afraid of Sasuke. Okay. You go back to accompany your two little girlfriends first. I'll call you if something happens. Tsunade waved his hand, obviously planning to chase people away. That is the Book of Seals with you? I want to learn the ninjutsu above. Hanxing rubbed his hands, feeling a little embarrassed. Oh, what kind of ninjutsu do you want to learn? Flying Thunder God? Tsunade twitched the corners of her mouth. She hadn't seen Hanxing like this for a long time. Neither. Hanxing shook his head. I want to learn multiple shadow clone and 8 inner gates technique. Hanxing shook his head. I know that multiple shadow clone is used for cultivation. With your current chakra, you can learn it, but 8 inner gates is not so difficult to learn. Tsunade said in a deep voice, then frowned. Obviously do not want Hanxing to learn 8 inner gates. After all, the side effects are too great. You must know, 8 inner gates will be dead when the 8th gate is opened. Relax. With my current physical strength and your medical ninjutsu, as long as I don't reach the 8th gate of 8 inner gates, I'll be fine. Hanxing looked confident. Advertisement, but he said in his heart, I still won't let you know about my 8 inner gates plan. Otherwise, I guess you won't let me learn if you kill me. That's all right. Wait a minute. Seeing Hanxing's determined look, Tsunade knew that if he didn't agree, he might not be able to do it. Tsunade leaves the Hokage office, and a moment later walks in with a large scroll. Hand it to Hanxing and said, No, this is the seal scroll, you can read it here. Just remember not to let people know about it. Okay. Hanxing was also welcome. Open the sealed scroll directly and write down the training methods of the multiple hidden avatar technique and 8 inner gates. Okay. I wrote it all down. Hanxing closed the seal scroll and handed it to Tsunade. Okay. Let's go. Tsunade waved his hand impatiently. Goodbye Tsunade-sensei then. Hanxing polite farewell. After leaving the Hokage building, Hanxing found the Hanata girls again and stayed with them for a week. Hanxing resolutely returned to the wet bone forest and continued to practice sage mode. Familiar place. Familiar taste, and familiar Katsuyu. Lord Hanxing. Do you want to start? I've already called Katsuyu nearby, Katsuyu said softly on his shoulders. Advertisement, excuse me. But this time, let's get 120, Hanxing said respectfully. These 120 are the limit of Hanxing's current practice of multiple shadow clones. It's not that he has no chakra after 120 shadow clone, but his current spirit can accommodate these 120 shadow clone. After all, he's not Naruto's kind of chosen son, he's hanging on the wall. Next, Hanxing started practicing sage mode again. With the help of 120 shadow clones, Hanxing's practice speed up again. I had already completed sage mode on the spot, but now with the help of 120 shadow clones, Hanxing has initially completed sage mode in just 1 month. However, Hanxing's sage mode, which is different from first generation and Naruto's, has 2 more white tentacles on his forehead, which is similar to Jiraiya's. It is an incomplete sage mode. Hanxing knew that this was because he was in a hurry. As a last resort, Hanxing had to continue to practice sage mode, trying to smooth his head from the tentacles to complete the perfect sage mode like first generation. The so-called incomplete sage mode is the upgrade that occurs when the cells in one's body cannot withstand the erosion of natural energy. Hanxing's approach is to make the cells in the body fully able to withstand the erosion of natural energy. Chapter 113 Previous chapter Next chapter Advertisement. The easiest way is to use natural energy to erode that part of the cells each time to increase their endurance until they can withstand the invasion of natural energy. With the help of 120 shadow clones, Hanxing's training speed is amazing. In just 1 month, the tentacles on his head have become smaller and smaller. For 2 months, Hanxing has initially had a light eyeshadow on the corners of her eyes. 3 months, Hanxing complete Master Perfect Sage Mode. The speed of this practice made Katsuyu next to him amazed again and again. Master Hanxing, you have now learned the Sage Mode like Master First Hokage. Do you want to learn the fighting skills of our Shibone Forest? Don't worry Katsuyu. I have to practice here for a long time. After I finish practicing, it's not too late to learn your Wet Bone Forest martial arts. Hanxing shook his head with a smile. Lord Hanxing, you have already learned Sage Mode. Why are you still cultivating here? There was a hint of doubt in Katsuyu's words. I'm just learning Sage Mode initially. It takes a long time to enter Sage Mode. The next step is to familiarize my body with Sage Mode, and try to enter Sage Mode within a second like Shodai. Alright then. Now that you have learned Sage Mode, do you want our Katsuyu to help? I want it, Hanxing said quickly. Just kidding. With Katsuyu in the body, and without Katsuyu in the body, there are 2 concepts to practice immortality. For example, with Katsuyu around, Hanxing is here to practice immortality, and it takes 3 minutes to enter. Without Katsuyu, it takes at least 15 minutes. Hanxing is not a fool, he naturally knows how to choose. Advertisement. After talking with Katsuyu, Hanxing enters the cultivation mode again. In the sky, a trace of natural energy was inhaled into his body, wandering all over the body, enhancing the body's adaptability to natural energy. Once, twice, Hanxing cultivated tirelessly. He knows that there is no shortcut to cultivation, and if you want to become stronger, you have to endure loneliness. In Hanxing's mind, Sage Mode has 3 modes. The first is this normal Sage Mode, which takes a long time, like Naruto Jiraiya. Second, after successfully practicing Sage Mode, let your body gradually adapt to Sage Mode. This greatly shortens the time to enter Sage Mode. This mode is legendary among Hokage fans. First generation enters Sage Mode in seconds. The third Sage Mode, on the basis of the second, after the body is fully adapted to the natural energy, is to let the body absorb the natural energy unconsciously, in a completely passive situation. Let the passive absorption of natural energy be greater than the natural energy consumed in battle. In this way, you can keep your body in Sage Mode all the time. In this state, the cells in your body will transform, and it is possible to become the legendary body of a fairy. Of course, these are just my own conjectures. After all, Hanxing himself has the blood of the Senju family, although it is only a poor 1%. The next thing to do is to practice. The third Sage Mode, there is a premise, that is, the dark world can feel the natural energy. Unfortunately, Hanxing used 10 times the training space when he was with the Hanata girls long before he came. After all, Hanxing's perception of the dark world was already at the door. During the 7 days he was with the 2 women, Hanxing did not forget to perceive it. Finally, on the 6th day, he was able to perceive the surrounding natural energy. Advertisement. At the same time, after Hanxing sensed the natural energy around him, his dark world changed greatly, and there were colorful energies everywhere. The only difference is that the natural energy of the whole body is not as strong as the natural energy of the sky. These Hanxings are not in a hurry. There are still 3 or 4 years before the start of Hokage, plus the second state can also practice alone in the cultivation space. He has time. 1 day, 2 days, in the blink of an eye, a year of time in Hanxing practice is fleeting. This year, Hanxing's Sage Mode has progressed quite a bit, from 5 minutes when he entered Sage Mode by Katsuyu at first, to 5 minutes by himself, 4 minutes to 1 minute now. The time has been greatly shortened by more than half, and he has already initially adapted to the training of Sage Mode. What surprised him even more was that he practiced Sage Mode quietly this year, and he felt that his body had not come to relax a lot. Sometimes his whole body was warm, and even a trace appeared on his body a few times. Dirt. What is this? Is it cutting the hair and washing the marrow? That's exactly what Hanxing is doing. He knows that his cultivation is in the right direction, and he will work harder when he cultivates. Spring and winter come, and the time of the year goes by again. Hanxing has successfully cultivated in Shibone Forest for 2 years. This year he is 14 years old. Dark and damp in the wet bone forest of unknown time. Hanxing sat cross-legged on the ground, with Katsuyu lying on his shoulders quietly, absorbing the surrounding natural energy silently. Hanxing closed his eyes and felt the rich natural energy around him like butterflies wandering around him in the world. As soon as the heart moved, a powerful suction centered on itself and began to frantically absorb the natural energy around and even in the sky. Advertisement: this suction is extremely powerful, like a whale swallowing the sea, and there is even a vortex of natural energy visible to the naked eye. He is like an ancient gluttonous man, and he will not refuse to come. In just a moment, 2 transparent eye shadows appear at the corners of Hanxing's eyes. Turn into 2 real eye shadows. At this point, Sage Mode is completed. Hanxing opened his eyes and asked, "Katsuyu, how long did it take me?" "About 3 seconds, Katsuyu said on his shoulders. 3 seconds? That's enough." A smile appeared on Hanxing's face. After reaching this step, Hanxing's training speed finally relaxed a bit. Speaking of which, Hanxing stayed here for 2 years, plus 20 years in the system space. In total, it took Hanxing 22 years to complete the pattern that first generation learned in the first few months. This makes it clear again, the importance of lineage and hanging on the wall. Although there is some imbalance in my heart, who makes me not the protagonist? Congratulations, Mr. Hanxing. The second step is finally completed, Katsuyu said sincerely on his shoulders. In the past 2 years, Hanxing told Katsuyu his thoughts, but Katsuyu was completely shocked by Hanxing's ideas and courage. Because of this, the consciousness of the Katsuyu immortal was alarmed. It deeply remembers the words of the Katsuyu immortal. Chapter 114 Previous chapter Next chapter Advertisement. You are bold and hardworking. Even Senju Hashirama can't compare to you. The last step, there is danger, but also opportunity, you take it yourself. Who is Senju Hashirama? The end of Sengoku, the founder of Shinobi Village, and one of the 2 god-tier words of Konoha. This kind of evaluation of Katsuyu is not too high. Lord Hanxing, do you want to proceed to the 3rd step? Katsuyu on his shoulders carried a hint of excitement. That's right. It's finally time to start. Hanxing breathed a sigh of relief, feeling extremely excited. The last step, Hanxing's approach is very simple, passive. What is passive is a subconscious behavior. Whether you are eating, drinking, sleeping, etc., in any case, you are not absorbing natural energy all the time. Hanxing's method is also very simple. Directly divide 300 shadow clone. Let them do what Hanxing thinks. That's right, there are 300 shadow clones. After 2 years of practice, his spirit has been able to withstand the spiritual fusion of 300 shadow clones. 1 month, 2 months, these shadow clones practice passive absorption of natural energy all the time. Hanxing himself is learning the fighting skills of Shizuku Forest with Katsuyu. After all, the 3rd mode has a slight danger, and Shadow Clone bears this danger. Speaking of the fighting technique of Shibone Forest, it is actually similar to the Toad fighting technique of Mount Myoboku. Basically, it is to use natural energy to strike the enemy. Half a year later, Hanxing had already mastered the martial arts of Shibone Forest. This morning, Hanxing ate the breakfast Katsuyu prepared for him with a numb expression. Then continued to divide 300 shadow clone to practice passive absorption of natural energy, while he himself is practicing body art. I don't know why, since the last time I washed the marrow and cut the tendons, the recovery ability in his body has been greatly enhanced, and the number of chakra has also increased a lot. In the past, he was injured at every turn, but now, he does not know the major injury, and the minor injury he suffered during training will fully recover when he wakes up, and he is refreshed and exhausted. Advertisement. At this moment, Hanxing suddenly slapped his head and said angrily, "How could I forget this cold system?" System. Open character attributes, open black lens bracket Chianye Hanxing close black lens bracket. Age. 14 Bloodline. Senju Clan Bloodline. Bloodline Limit. Thunderfruit, Awakening. Taishu. Cage Level Pinnacle Chakra, Super Shadow. Ninjutsu. 3 Body Technique, Great Fireball Technique, Chidori. Comprehensive Strength. Super Shadow Peak. There is nothing to see in the ninja body illusion. He mainly looks at the bloodline, that column. When he saw Senju's bloodline, Hanxing thought to himself, sure enough. When he was cultivating before, he had some guesses. After all, the previous signs were very similar to the bloodline of the Senju family. After seeing the bloodline of the Senju family, Hanxing was still a little excited. In the final analysis, this world is still a world of bloodline and bloodline. At this moment, a familiar memory suddenly entered Hanxing's mind. Hanxing's eyes flashed, and his heart was pounding. He was so excited. This memory is nothing else. It is a shadow clone who has successfully practiced the method of passively absorbing natural energy. Immediately after absorbing this memory, after 300 shadow clone, Hanxing practiced the method of passively absorbing natural energy. This method is very simple, Ishin is versatile, and it is very simple to do it in the spirit of Hanxing. All he wants is to remove the dangerous factors in shadow clone. Advertisement. After a while, Hanxing began to walk back and forth in the wet bone forest, exercising. Those who practice the natural mode will see that Hanxing is slowly absorbing natural energy. Although passive absorption and consumption are not proportional, there is no unhappy look on Hanxing's face. On the contrary, he was so excited that he knew he was on the right track again. Half a year passed quickly in Hanxing practice again. This year, Hanxing has been coming to the Wetbone Forest for nearly 3 years, and now Hanxing is 15 years old. At the age of 15, he has grown up now, about 1.8 meters tall, and his appearance is even more speechless. With a handsome face, a gentle smile, neat short hair, and a strong body, I am afraid that Hanxing will be able to attract a large number of Konoha girls to be fans if he stops at Konoha. Even Sasuke, the Forest King, is slightly inferior to Hanxing's appearance. In this half year, plus the 5.5 years in the training space, Hanxing finally mastered the skill of passively absorbing natural energy, and practiced the natural energy consumed by battle, and the two reached a 1-to-1 level. That is to say, no matter what Hanxing is doing now, he can enter Sage mode permanently. And just when Hanxing will absorb and consume both to a unified level, Hanxing's physique has been upgraded. The body has become more energetic, and the recovery speed is even more amazing, as if the shackles of the body have been opened, and the originally wheat-colored skin has become a little fair. Hanxing once tried how amazing his resilience was, and let Katsuyu leave a scar on his body. The scar actually started to recover at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the injured part was restored to its original state in the blink of an eye. This resilience is similar to that of Nine Tails Jinchuriki Naruto. Not only that, he himself is like a lighthouse now, and he doesn't need to passively absorb natural energy at all, but the surrounding natural energy is like a bee, rushing towards him frantically. This amazing change really stunned Hanxing, and quickly opened the character attributes in the system. Open black lens bracket Chianye Hanxing close black lens bracket advertisement age, 15 bloodline. Senju Clan bloodline. Sage body bloodline limit. Thunderfruit, Awakening. Physical art. Super Shadow. Chakra. Super Shadow. Ninjutsu. 3 body technique, Great Fireball technique, Chidori. Comprehensive strength. Super Shadow peak. Sage body. After Sage body saw that column, Hanxing was excited for a long time and calmed down. He didn't expect that he would actually get the Sage body out by accident. At this time, he finally understood why immortal Katsuyu said what the opportunity was. It's just that Hanxing doesn't understand. He remembers that Sage body is born and can't be cultivated the day after tomorrow. Why was he able to cultivate the Sage body? Confused with confusion, Hanxing frowned and pondered for a long time without coming up with a reasonable method. Forget it. Hanxing shook his head and threw out the distracting thoughts in his mind. Anyway, it's not enough for the benefit. Why do you think so much? In fact, Hanxing didn't know that if he didn't have the blood of the Senju family, he wouldn't be able to activate the sage body at all, and at most he would recover faster and be an ordinary person who would always enter the sage mode. But after Hanxing has gone through the second cultivation method, it will be different after awakening the Senju family's constitution. From the original book, Sage of Six Paths has two sons, the eldest son Indra and the youngest son Ashura. Indra inherited the fairy eyes, and the younger son inherited the sage body. After the precipitation of history, the Sage Eye family gradually evolved into the Uchiha family. Sage body is the Senju family. Chapter 115 Previous chapter Next chapter Advertisement. Hanxing's second cultivation method has upgraded his body cells and transformed it into a Senju family physique. The third kind of cultivation is to upgrade the cells in his body again, returning to his ancestors and becoming a sage body. It can be said that natural energy is equivalent to a key, which shatters the two bloodline shackles in Hanxing's body. After learning sage mode and accidentally opening sage body, Hanxing's purpose of coming here has finally been completed. Katsuyu Immortal. I plan to leave here today. Hanxing's eyes were filled with reluctance. After all, he had been cultivating here for 3 years, and he had some feelings. Go. It seems that your chance has been obtained. There is nothing to teach you here now. Katsuyu, who was beside him, said dignifiedly. Hanxing knew that it was Katsuyu's own consciousness talking to him. Immediately, he said respectfully, "That's it. Then Hanxing will leave. If there is any trouble in the Shibone Forest in the future, you must notify me, and those who can help will definitely help." Immortal Katsuyu was very satisfied with Hanxing's attitude and pointed out, "Sage body is your initial awakening. Remember to work hard to develop it. It has the yang escape in the yin and yang escape technique." Understood. I will develop it seriously. Hanxing nodded seriously. Let Katsuyu use the reverse summoning technique to return home. Looking at everything familiar at home and the spotless ground, a soft smile appeared on the corner of Hanxing's mouth. This masterpiece, needless to say, is also the credit of the Hanata girls. Glancing out the window, Hanxing walked into the kitchen around dusk, intending to make a delicious meal to treat himself and the two daughters Hanata. Advertisement. By the time Hanxing put all the meals on the table, the sky was completely dark. The electromagnetic induction swept away and found that Hanata and the two girls were on their way. Hanata. When will Hanxing come back? On the side of the road, Ino, who has grown into a beautiful woman, complained a little. Come on. I heard from Master Tsunade that Hanxing is learning sage mode in the Shibone Forest, and he should be back when Hanxing learns, Hanata said in a low voice, and there was a flash of nostalgia and worry in his eyes. Really? It's been 3 years and I haven't heard back at all. When you come back, you and I will ignore him, post him for a day or two, and teach him a lesson. Okay. Listen to you. Let's go back quickly. It's time to clean Hanxing's house today. It's already a little late. Hanata glanced at the sky and smiled. What's the matter? If it's a big deal, just stay here. It's not that I haven't lived here before. Anyway, he hasn't come back yet, Ino said carelessly. Besides, the three of them were together 3 years ago, and Hanxing wasn't at home, so what was there to worry about? While the two women were talking, they had already arrived at the gate of Hanxing's house. After seeing the lights inside the house, the two women had a hint of excitement and joy in their eyes. They looked at each other, pushed open the gate of the yard, and ran inside. Click. Hanxing opened the door and looked at the two women running towards him with a smile on his face. After a while, the two women stopped in front of Hanxing with excited expressions on their faces. Advertisement. Hanxing narrowed his eyes slightly, stroked the silky hair of the two girls, and the familiar fragrance, carefully looking at the 3-year change of the two girls. It doesn't change much from the original Shippuden when it was opened. The figure is perfect, and there are 2 women that a goddess should have. Not bad, not bad. You can eat it. Hanxing rubbed his chin and thought to himself. The two girls looked a little shy by Hanxing's undisguised gaze, and they all lowered their heads and dared not look directly. their faces flushed in Hong Kong style. Have you seen enough? After a while, Ino gritted his teeth and said shyly. No. I haven't seen you for 3 years. Naturally, I have to take a good look at how my two ladies have changed, but I didn't expect that after 3 years of absence, you two have become so good looking. What? How can I see enough? I'm afraid I'll never get tired of watching it for the rest of my life. Hanxing smiled and praised shamelessly. Humph. You big bad guy, you haven't seen him for 3 years, but your mouth has become quite sweet. Ino snorted coldly, his eyes narrowed into crescent moons, and he took Hanata and walked inside. As soon as he sat down, Hanxing saw the two girls bowing their heads and taking small bites. Looking at the diamond-shaped marks on the foreheads of the two girls, Hanxing said with a hint of surprise, "Have you become 100 healings, Mark?" "Did you just see it?" Ino pouted in dissatisfaction. "I just came to see you. I don't have time to look at your foreheads," Hanxing said shamelessly. "Humph." Ino shyly snorted, bowing his head to eat, obviously underestimating how cheeky Hanxing has been over the past 3 years. When Hanata saw the bickering between the two, she covered her mouth and snickered, and from time to time she served food to the two women. The atmosphere that followed was very harmonious. Advertisement, Hanxing. I heard from Master Tsunade that you went to the Shibone Forest to learn the magic. Have you done it? Ino asked curiously after eating and clearing the dishes. Of course. I didn't learn what I came back for, Hanxing said with a smile. My dad said that if you learn magic, you will not be on the same level as our ordinary ninjas. What does this mean? Ino asked when he became a problem baby. How should I say it? After learning the immortal, all 3 of your ninja body and magic will have a terrifying increase. The strength has undergone earth-shaking changes. Hanxing pondered. So you've doubled your strength now? Ino asked again. Almost. Hanxing said with a smile. His current strength has been doubled, from the peak of cage level to the peak of super shadow. Literally, although there is one more word, the strength has undergone earth-shaking changes. The peak of cage level and the peak of super shadow are like a moat. One super shadow can suspend several cage level powerhouses, not to mention the peak of super shadow. Take Orochimaru as an example. Call him a person every minute. As long as he wants, Orochimaru can't run away. If he has to compare his current strength, if he has to find someone to compare with him, there are only first Hokage and Uchiha Madara. Chapter 116 Previous chapter Next chapter Advertisement. Wow. Double. Then can you beat Tsunade-sensei? Ino said excitedly. Tsunade teacher. You worship Tsunade as your teacher? Hanxing asked in confusion. Yeah. Hanata and I both worship, Ino said this with great excitement, after all Tsunade is her idol. Hanata, did you worship too? Hanxing was a little surprised. What the hell is this Master Tsunade doing? Seemingly seeing the doubts in Hanxing's eyes, the careful Hanata explained in a low voice. Thank you Hanxing for this. After you left, we both have been practicing the taijutsu, ninjutsu, and family secrets that you gave us. It wasn't until a year and a half ago that Ino and I learned your 100 healings mark. Because of you, Tsunade-sama took great care of us. After seeing Ino and I learn 100 healings mark, he directly announced that we were accepted as disciples. That's it. Hanxing was stunned. 100 healings mark, as Tsunade's signature ninjutsu, has now been learned by Ino and Hanata, and because of Hanxing, Ino and Hanata are not outsiders. With Tsunade's atmosphere, it's too late to be happy after knowing it. What's more, the two girls have become 100 healings mark, which is considered as inheriting the mantle of Tsunade, and it is reasonable to accept apprentices. Speaking of 100 healings mark, Hanxing has some headaches. For the past 3 years, he has been patronizing the study of Shanshu. The 100 healings mark for men has not been released yet. After learning 8 inner gates, it is not too late to make plans. Don't talk about this. Who are you two staying with me tonight? Hanxing's voice turned. His eyes scanned back and forth on the two women, a little lewd. Advertisement. The two women are already slim and beautiful women, and their minds have matured, so they naturally know the hidden meaning of Hanxing's words. I still have something to do. Let's go first, Ino said with a blushing face and hurriedly left. Just as Hanata was about to leave, Hanxing pulled him into his arms and whispered into Hinata's ear, "Ino is gone. It's too late for you to leave now." Picking up Hanata, Hanxing walked towards the bedroom. Putting it on the tatami, looking at Hanata with a flushed face and a nervous look on his face with his little hands clutching the corner of his clothes. Turning off the lights, holding Hanata in his arms, he said softly, "Sleep." Ah! Hinata's eyes were blushing and doubtful. Seeing the playful look in Hanxing's eyes, she knew that she and Ino were both wrong. "Yeah." With a shy response, Hanata was in Hanxing's arms, listening to Hanxing's strong heartbeat and the familiar smell, and slowly closed her eyes. Hanxing put his arms around Hanata, sniffing the fragrance on his body, with a smile on the corner of his mouth, and closed his eyes. The mind is entering the cultivation space. In the cultivation space, the wet bone forest environment. After Hanxing entered, he sat where he was, recalling the message of 8 inner gates in his mind. That's right, he came here to practice 8 inner gates 1. 8 inner gates, separate, hue, live, hurt, do, jing, frightened, die 8 gates. Advertisement: the 8 gate is the place in the chakra flow meridian system to restrain and control the chakra. It is a kind of obstacle to restrain the chakra of the human body. 8 inner gates is to open the chakra restriction of the 8 gate to the body to gain great strength. Each time you open a door, your own strength will be stronger, and at the same time, the caster will also suffer more damage. The 8 gate is fully open, also known as the 8 inner gates formation, which can instantly gain dozens of times the power over the 5 shadows. This is also the reason why 8 inner gates is listed as forbidden technique. After all, driving to 8 gate will kill people. But Hanxing's idea is the opposite. In his opinion, the death of 8 inner gates is all because of the heart of the last gate. As the source of life, the heart does not have such a powerful energy to strengthen the outbreak at once, which is equivalent to the outbreak of all life at once, and it is strange that it does not die after use. What if it was the other way around? The first door is the heart, starting from the heart to strengthen, using the heart to drive the whole body, and breaking one door one by one. There may be no side effects. His idea may be a little fanciful, but Hanxing thinks it is feasible. For this reason, he specializes in learning Sage Mode to improve body growth, just for this. Never mind. Do it. Hanxing gritted his teeth. Ever since Hanxing came to this world, he has been preparing for 8 inner gates. For this reason, Hanxing never forgets to stimulate the 8 inner gates acupoints with Thunderbolt chakra every day, and he never relaxes every day. It can be said that the reverse practice of 8 inner gates has become his obsession. Now with the Senju family physique and sage body, his chances of practicing 8 inner gates are greatly increased. Advertisement: sitting cross-legged, Hanxing ordered Zhou Shenglei to turn into tiny long needles to pierce the last gate of 8 inner gates, the gate of death. Pain. Pain. The excruciating pain came from the heart. Hanxing did not say a word. His forehead was covered in cold sweat. Now that it has started, there is no possibility of retreating. Success or failure is in this one action. If he lives, if he fails, he will die. Once, twice, 100 times, 1,000 times, the level of the door of death was constantly impacted by the thin needles of thunder. Hanxing's face was as pale as rain, and it was obvious that the pain made him a little unbearable. I don't know how long it took, and after the disdainful efforts of countless thin needles of thunder, a crack finally appeared in the level of the indestructible door of death. Hanxing's eyes lit up, he saw hope, and he was motivated. He gritted his teeth and continued to order the lightning needles to attack this level. An hour, 2 hours, half a day, more and more cracks on the dead door level in front of Hanxing. Click. Click. Boom. After attacking for about an hour, the dead gate finally couldn't bear the tireless attack of Hanxing's thin needles of lightning and collapsed. Hanxing's whole body was suddenly in great pain, almost fainting, and even the strength in his body gradually disappeared. How is it possible? It's clearly opened. Why is it like this when it's open? Is it going to die? Feeling the weakening power of his body, Hanxing's face was full of unwillingness. At this moment, the sage body in the body seemed to feel that Hanxing was in danger, and quickly absorbed the surrounding natural energy, and at the same time its own strong vitality quietly radiated, both of which rushed towards Hanxing's heart. Death and vitality, pain and happiness, the two are at odds. This is the portrayal of Hanxing today, but no matter how painful he is, he can't give up, because once he gives up, he is really dead. Never see Hanata, Ino, never see Tsunade Kakashi again. Chapter 117 Previous chapter Next chapter Advertisement. Hanxing relied on the obsession in his heart and insisted desperately. 1 day, 2 days and a week passed quietly here in the blink of an eye. For a week, Hanxing endured this inhuman torture. He was a little numb, or used to it, but more than happy. Because he felt that under the stalemate between the 7 days of life and death, the two sides that were originally stalemate, with the passage of time, his heart seemed to have a bit of resistance, and anger gradually gained the upper hand. If things go on like this, it won't take long for him to return to normal. Now all he has to do is to hold on to the pain and wait for the time to come. 3 days later, Hanxing came out of the training space, and the injuries in his body were also synchronized to Hanxing. Looking at Hanata, who had just fallen asleep, Hanxing couldn't bear to wake him up, but in order to recover quickly, Hanxing had to do it. Now, although the vitality in the body has the upper hand, it takes too long to recover slowly. Hanxing believes that calling Tsunade over will greatly shorten the time. After all, Tsunade, the first medical ninja in the ninja world, is not called for nothing. Hanata. Hanata. Hanxing's hoarse voice, touching Hanata's hair, whispered. Hearing Hanxing's cry, Hanata opened his eyes in confusion. Hanxing. What's wrong with you? Seeing Hanxing's completely different looks from before going to bed, Hanata's little face was full of worry. Hanata. Please go and call Tsunade-sensei over here, Hanxing said with some difficulty. Advertisement right now, his whole body is fighting against the dead energy in his heart. Don't even move, it's hard to say a word, not to mention chakra, he's a complete wreck. Oh, I'm going. Hanata said with tears in her eyes, and she left here directly using the body flicker technique. After a while, the sleepy Tsunade was a little confused by Hanata. I said, what are you doing, you brat? You can't let me get a good night's sleep as soon as I come back. Do you know how long it's been since I slept so early? Tsunade shouted in dissatisfaction as soon as he came. You're falling asleep, I'm guessing you're dead. Hanxing's hoarse voice, exhausted. Hearing Hanxing's voice, the sleepy Tsunade suddenly regained his senses. What's going on? He said with a serious expression. What's going on? Hanata told me that you weren't alright just now? Me. Reverse practice 8 inner gates, dead gate. Hanxing said with difficulty. He knew that with Tsunade's IQ, he would definitely understand what Hanxing meant. You're not so daring in your thoughts. I heard that the old lady wanted to kill you with a stick. Can you modify the ninjutsu with great side effects like 8 inner gates? Tsunade yelled angrily. If Hanxing couldn't move now, he would have gone up and punched him. After speaking, he directly peeled off Hanxing's clothes to reveal the strong muscles inside. Little devil. How good is your body? At this time, Tsunade still didn't forget to joke. A palm pressed on Hanxing's chest, sensing the problem in Hanxing's heart, and after a while, Tsunade's eyes relaxed and she said seriously. There are 2 different energies in your heart. One is destroying and the other is repairing. These 2 energies are currently the destructive energy. I can guess that this destructive energy is a side effect of your opening the door to death, but that repairability is a strong vitality. Advertisement. Even if you don't call me over, you will be back to normal in a month at most. Just, how can your body have such a strong vitality? This vitality can be compared to Grandpa's sage body? Tsunade said in shock. Boy? Are you a member of my Senju clan? At this moment, Tsunade said with some anticipation and some jokes. Everyone knows that the Senju family is born with a strong vitality. Although Hanxing's strong vitality is much more than that of the Senju family, there is still someone in the history of the Senju family who can compare with the vitality in Hanxing's body, and that is his grandfather Senju, Hashirama. It's just, why didn't she find the vitality in Hanxing's body when she was in contact with Hanxing before? Could it be that she has awakened in the past few days? Tsunade thought to himself, his brows furrowed. You ask so many questions all at once, why don't you save me first? Hanxing laughed a little, and there is really no one left for such a rough teacher. Cut. Didn't I tell you about your injury just now? Even if I don't care, with the vitality in your body, you will slowly get better. Tsunade pouted and said, but he put his hands on Hanxing's chest very honestly and used healing jutsu to help Hanxing reply quickly. Hanxing's idea is correct. With the addition of Tsunade, healing jutsu, Hanxing's vitality has added another ally. In the case of 2 against 1, the destructive energy in Hanxing's body is getting smaller and smaller. Looking at the situation, it is estimated that Tsunade treats Hanxing for 1 night, and the destructive energy in the body will be completely eliminated. Hey! Talk! Hanxing, who was thinking, was interrupted again by Tsunade's words. What? Hanxing wondered. What's the matter with the rich vitality in your body? Why didn't you find it before? Advertisement. Tsunade gritted his teeth and swore to himself that when Hanxing recovered, he would beat him hard, even ignoring the old lady's words. Actually, I have a trace of the blood of the Senju family in my body. Later, I successfully awakened the blood of the Senju family by practicing immortality. Hanxing decided to tell the truth. Anyway, Tsunade is not an outsider, and he is also good to him. He said that when they came, they were considered relatives in name. Moreover, if he had such a strong vitality without the blood of the Senju family, it is estimated that Tsunade would not believe it. Really? That's great. Tsunade was so excited that he rubbed Hanxing into the stalwart in front of him. It's great. It's great. The Senju clan is finally not extinct. As Tsunade said, the tears in Tsunade's eyes flowed unconsciously. Just, Tsunade-sensei. Hanxing. Originally, Hanata was still happy about Hanxing's bloodline, but now Hanata looked at Hanxing's trembling hands and quickly said with worry. What's wrong? Tsunade looked at Hanata suspiciously. Hanata points to Hanxing's jerking body. Tsunade hurriedly released Hanxing from his arms in embarrassment. Whirring. As soon as Hanxing came out, he breathed in the air, ignoring the pain. He was just an ordinary person with injuries. If Tsunade was suffocating, he would probably be the first person in Konoha's history to be suffocated to death. Chapter 118. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Don't look at me so resentfully. I'm not happy, Tsunade said with some dissatisfaction. Saying that, using healing jutsu with both hands to heal Hanxing's chest. Hanxing. Silently forgetting the roof, how could he provoke such a teacher? Right. How could I forget this? Tsunade slapped his forehead. What? Hanxing was a little puzzled. Your current body is now competing between 2 energies. The most I can help you is to inject medical ninjutsu to help the vitality in your body, so as to increase the result of their competition. The result is obvious. The only thing that is bad is the time. Instead of working so hard, you might as well hold 2 Katsuyu, so that I can go to sleep. Tsunade has a serious look on the analysis. Hanxing. Your apprentice and clan have become like this, and you still want to be lazy. Enla. I'm telling the truth. My medical ninjutsu output is at this speed, and so is Katsuyu, so why not let your teacher choose a good way? Tsunade saw Hanxing's resentment and bit his head. Then, okay. Hanxing stared at Tsunade with a grudge. Hanxing knew what was going on in his body, and he knew that what Tsunade said was right. Suddenly, Hanxing had a flash of inspiration and his eyes lit up. Tsunade-sensei, you said this would work. You also said that my heart is now competing with 2 energies. What would happen if you directly transformed the chakra in your body into medical chakra and injected it into my body? Advertisement. Nice idea to try. Tsunade said. Regardless of whether Hanxing agreed or not, he directly converted the chakra in his body into medical chakra and injected it into Hanxing's body. Even Hanxing couldn't stop it, so he cursed. Tsunade is so rude, I'll just suggest it. Why do you need to be in such a hurry? With the infusion of Tsunade's scrutinizing medical chakra, the vitality in Hanxing's body was like adding fuel to the fire, quickly extinguishing the shattering energy in his chest. That speed was many times faster than Hanxing's own recovery in the cultivation space. In an hour, the shattering energy in Hanxing's body was only the size of a walnut, and 2 hours later, it became the size of a red date. At this time, Tsunade had a cold sweat on his forehead due to the medical chakra with all his strength, and even his face turned pale. Seeing this, Hanxing couldn't bear it. Tsunade teacher, come here today, and come back when your chakra recovers, it's much better now. Although Tsunade has the 100 healings mark, Hanxing doesn't want Tsunade to use the 100 healings mark because of this situation. Well, he just doesn't want to see Tsunade turn into an old woman. In the original book, he remembered that when pain attacked Konoha, Tsunade opened the 100 healings mark for the Konoha crowd, and finally turned into an old woman because chakra was exhausted. No. Tsunade shook the sweat on his forehead and said to Hanata, who was beside him, Hanata, you come next, I'll rest first. Okay. Mr. Tsunade. Hanata looked at Tsunade and Hanxing worriedly and whispered. Hanata, you know medical ninjutsu? Hanxing asked in surprise. Of course, not only Hanata, but Ino too. The chakra control of these two girls is not ordinary, especially Hanata, who has already learned medical ninjutsu. Tsunade smiled, very proud. Obviously, he is still very satisfied with the Hanata girls. While Tsunade and Hanxing were talking, Hanata had transformed her chakra into a medical chakra and injected it into Hanxing's chest. Advertisement. An hour later, Hanata was sweating profusely and was out of breath. Seeing this, Hanxing hurriedly told this silly girl to stop. It's okay, I don't need you anymore. You should stop now, Hanxing said in a distressed voice. It's okay. Hanxing. Hanata smiled softly, and the 100 healings mark on his forehead was instantly released. Subsequently, the symptoms on the face disappeared again, and continued to deliver medical ninjutsu to Hanxing. Seeing this, Hanxing didn't say anything more, but felt even more pity in his heart. After another hour, Hanxing was basically able to walk back and forth like a normal person, and the destructive energy in his body became the size of his little finger. Hanxing believes that according to this progress, the injury will recover in 2 hours at most. 2 hours later, as the last trace of destructive energy disappeared from Hanxing's body returned to its original shape. Woo! It's finally gone. Tsunade took a long breath and retracted his palm. Hanata had fallen asleep from exhaustion an hour earlier. Thank you, Master Tsunade, Hanxing said gratefully. HMPH. It's good to know, even if you know how to thank the teacher, Tsunade said angrily. Forget it. It's very late today, I'll go back first, let's talk about it tomorrow, Tsunade yawned. Seeing this, Hanxing felt a little ashamed. Okay. I'll talk about it tomorrow. He sent Tsunade out with a smile on his face. Hanxing closed the door, and hugged Hanata with a loving face and fell asleep safely. Next day, Ino carried a small pot of soup, stepped on his feet, and carefully pushed open the door and walked in. Advertisement. As soon as I entered the door, I saw Hanxing was making breakfast, and Hanata was still asleep because he was overworked last night. Ino looked at the sleeping Hanata, and after seeing the 100 healings mark on Hinata's forehead disappear, a storm surged in his heart. What a big fight last night, forcing Hanata to use the 100 healings mark. Ino's eyes widened, thinking about the fight between Hanxing and Hanata last night. The little face is unconsciously blushing. Pat. Hanxing snapped a finger directly at Ino's cerebellum. He explained in a low voice, "What are you thinking about all day long, you little brain? I had some problems in my practice last night, and both Tsunade and Hanata worked hard to solve them in the middle of the night." Ino looked up and down Hanxing. "Do you think I'm that kind of idiot?" Hanxing covered his head. He knew how to explain this girl last night, and he wouldn't believe it. "Okay. Let's eat first when you come. Leave Hanata alone, let her sleep first." "Right. This is my mother's old hen and red dates chicken soup." Ino put the pot on the table and whispered. "Thank you, Aunt, for helping me." Hanxing smiled and didn't refuse. BWGB. B. Hanata really needs something to replenish her strength now. After all, she spent too much energy last night. Ino smiled and didn't speak, but his eyes were full of teasing, as if saying, "Speak, speak, I see what lies you can make up." Chapter 119. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Hanxing rolled his eyes. He knew that no matter what he said at this time, Ino would believe it. Suddenly, Hanxing rolled his eyes and said, "Hanata is now my person. How about you? How are you tonight?" That, Ino blushed. The corners of his mouth were choppy, and he couldn't say anything for a while. Looking at Ino's appearance, Hanxing is very proud, and I can't cure you. Just finished eating, Tsunade pushed the door open. Tsunade-sensei. Ino shouted hurriedly. For Tsunade, she is not like Hanxing. No matter how big or small, she is still very respectful. Yo. It's so early. Tsunade laughed, looking at the chicken soup in the pot, nodding with satisfaction. That's right. Knowing that the teacher wasted so much energy last night, I made chicken soup for the teacher to drink. After speaking, without waiting for the two of Hanxing to speak, they were not polite at all, and they started directly at the pot. Ino looked at Hanxing suspiciously, blinking his eyes, full of confusion. What does Tsunade-sensei mean? After spending so much energy last night, wasn't it just Hanata last night? Thinking of what Hanxing just said, did he really make a mistake in his practice last night? With this thought, Ino's face changed instantly. He walked up to Hanxing, pinched Hanxing's arm, and said worriedly, Hanxing, did you really have a problem with your cultivation last night? How is it now? Are you alright? Advertisement, now you know what I just said is true, Hanxing said angrily. Ino nodded. How is your body now? It's all right. It's recovered, Hanxing Kaido. As the two of them spoke, Tsunade hiccuped. She said contentedly, or the food you made is delicious. How is it? How are you today? When it comes to business, Hanxing's face is restrained. It's all right. It's back to normal. Maybe last night's physical loss was too great, and it takes a while to slowly recover. Tsunade stretched out his hand, clutching Hanxing's heart, and the medical ninjutsu poured into the heart, observing carefully. After a while, she retracted her palm. As expected of inheriting the blood of our Senju family, your heart has recovered. You have a good rest these 2 days. I will go back to the Hokage building first. Speaking of the last sentence, Tsunade's good mood turned a little depressed. Then go slowly. Mr. Tsunade. Hanxing smiled and sent Tsunade away. After sending Tsunade away, he saw Ino's curious baby face. Hanxing had no choice but to tell Ino what happened last night. Of course, after giving up the hatred to the thrilling part, it is enough that Hanata knows it, and he doesn't want Ino to be sad. After finishing speaking, Hanxing cooked another pot of tonic soup for Hanata. No way, who made the soup served by Ino to be eaten by Tsunade. Seeing this, Ino took good care of Hanata. Hanxing experienced the changes in his body while cooking the soup. First of all, the increase in body is not very large, and the chakra is not large, so there is a chakra amount of chunin. With his current super cage level strength, opening a door is really not very useful to him. What he wants is the last few permanent amplification of doors. Advertisement anyway, Hanxing is not in a hurry. He has already taken the most difficult step of 8 inner gates, and when he recovers his body in the past few days, he will go to open the remaining gates. There is still 1 year left before Shippuden, and there is room for God-level cultivation in 1 year. Hanxing is confident that he can complete the reverse 8 inner gates cultivation. An hour later, when Hanxing boiled the soup, Hanata also woke up from her deep sleep. After eating the soup, Hanata had to stay at home again today. The three talked about what happened in the past 3 years. It's night time. Hanxing made a lot of things to treat the two girls Ino and Hanata, mainly because he wanted to eat. God knows how he lived in the Shibone forest for the past 3 years. After sending Ino away, Hanxing slept with a pale Hanata. As for Hyuga Hiyashi, he had already sent a shadow clone to inform him. Sniffing the rich body fragrance on Hanata's body, the two fell asleep peacefully. 1 day, 2 days, and it wasn't until a week later that Hanata fully recovered. Hanxing accompanies Hanata and Ino at the same time. After the Hyuga family knew about Hanata, they brought many precious medicinal herbs directly, such as ginseng, deer antler, Ganoderma lucidum and other tonic herbs, each of which has hundreds of years. This had to make Hanxing sigh. As expected of a wealthy family, with a profound background, these centuries-old Ganoderma lucidum are something. Even money can't buy it. This week, Hanxing's body has recovered long ago, and he successfully opened the door last night. Since Hanxing is practicing 8 inner gates in reverse, the first gate is the dead gate, and the second gate is the seventh gate of the original 8 inner gates. Advertisement. The shocking shock is very simple. This time he changed the thunder attribute chakra into a small electric drill, which hit the barrier of the 7th gate. The barrier of the 7th gate, much simpler than the 8th gate, was broken by Hanxing in just a moment. After breaking the shocking door, Hanxing's physique has also undergone a certain transformation, but it is not very big, just the level of Jonin's physique, and chakra is similar. Even so, Hanxing was so excited that the feedback from the second gate had already reached Jonin, and what about after that? Time is like running water, a month flies by in the blink of an eye. This month, in addition to accompanying the 2 daughters, Hanxing practiced reverse 8 inner gates, during which Tsunade did a simple clan ceremony for Hanxing. Simply put, Hanxing will be a member of the Senju family from now on. Of course, the current Hanxing is still called Chiba Hanxing, not Senju. After all, he is used to it. Tsunade is very generous, as long as Hanxing is included in the family tree. This month is equivalent to about a year of cultivation space, and he has also successfully opened 5 injury doors for 8 inner gates in the current reverse cultivation. After opening the 5th gate, his body has undergone some qualitative changes. If it is said that there are also 3 levels in the Super Shadow, his current strength can be regarded as the 2nd level of the Super Shadow. At the same time, after opening the 5th gate, Hanxing found a little pain in his body, and told him in his heart that he needed a slow time to endure. That's why, after spending half a month opening the 5th gate, Hanxing didn't open the 6th gate until now. Because, the pain in his body has not subsided until now. However, the pain was getting smaller and smaller, and Hanxing had a hunch that it wouldn't take long for his body to fully bear the side effects of the 5th gate. Chapter 120. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. 3 days later, in the early morning, Hanxing closed his eyes, but his consciousness entered the cultivation space to cultivate. When he woke up this morning, he felt that the pain in his body was gone and his body was back to normal. Without any hesitation, Hanxing entered the cultivation space directly. It is still a bit dark in the wet bone forest, because the natural energy is the most concentrated here. If the 6th gate is opened, Hanxing's body will definitely suffer some side effects from the 6th gate. The rich natural energy is conducive to the absorption of Hanxing's body, and can quickly withstand the pressure from the side effects of 6th gate. Hanxing sat cross-legged, and his mind controlled thunder and lightning to bombard the barriers of the original 3rd gate's gate. Once, twice. I don't know how long it took before a crack appeared in the barrier of the 3rd gate's gate. Click. Click. Boom. With this voice ringing in Hanxing's mind, the 8th inner gates finally opened. Boom. Hanxing's body suddenly exudes a violent energy, sweeping all around like a Category 18 hurricane. Whoa. The flowers and leaves near Hanxing. All were blown away by the hurricane around Hanxing. This hurricane is like one after another windblade, sickle, will blow up, flowers, leaves, etc., all shattered. On the damp ground, with Hanxing as the center, within a radius of 100 meters, small cracks appeared quietly. Advertisement. There was a hint of surprise in Hanxing's eyes. He didn't expect the 6th group to bring him such a big increase, and even the power in his body could not be controlled. This is the 6th gate. What if the 7th gate? He was a little unwilling to imagine. Both Taishu and chakra have been greatly increased. How much? At least in cage level, for example. Let's not talk about physical skills. Let's talk about chakra. Originally he practiced sage mode, and after his body was transformed into sage body, the purple chakra in Hanxing's body has turned into 7 colors. After 3 years of cultivation, the 7-colored chakra silk in his body has long been saved by him, and Hanxing is compressing it these days, turning the liquid into a solid. Originally thought it would take a few days, but who knew that after opening the 6th gate, with the sudden influx of chakra in his body, he subconsciously operated the chakra in his dantian, compressing and condensing the sudden influx of chakra. The process went beyond Hanxing's expectations and went extremely smoothly. It didn't take long for the colorful chakra in his dantian to be compressed by more than half. After a while, this half of chakra, after being compressed, an hour later, the liquid chakra in the body has been compressed to the limit. Boom. Suddenly, There was a powerful roar in Hanxing's mind, as if the world had opened up. When I look back, the chakra in his body has completed the transformation from liquid to solid. Looking around at the Dantian, a solid body with colorful rays of light and a shape like a mung bean appeared in the Dantian. Around it, the colorful chakra turned into incomparably transparent dotted lines and was swallowed by it. Hanxing knew that this should be what chakra looks like in a solid state. What is this? Is it the golden elixir of Taoism? Hanxing murmured. Do I want to shout to the second and swallow a golden elixir, so that I know my fate is up to me? With the successful liquid to solid conversion, Hanxing's uncontrollable momentum adds another point. Boom! Like adding fuel to the fire, the hurricane that was only raging in a radius of 100 meters, with the completion of Hanxing's liquid to solid state, its range suddenly increased to a kilometer range. Advertisement. The ground turned over like an earth dragon, and the tiny cracks like spider webs expanded again. The surrounding area of Hanxing's body was even more serious. The ground, which had been cross-legged and flat, had cracked and turned into a small pothole. Hanxing can even clearly see the surrounding soil slowly flying up. This kind of power is like the end of the world. At the same time, at the moment when the colorful golden pill appeared, Hanxing unconsciously burned the green chakra flame all over his body, just like the yellow flame ignited when the Super Saiyan transformed. Looking at everything he created around him, Hanxing smiled bitterly. It seems that these few days, I have to try to master the extra power and chakra control. After the words fell, Hanxing directly separated 300 shadow clones, proficient with the new extra power and chakra. After 10 days, Hanxing had taken control of the extra chakra and physical strength. It will no longer cause that kind of movement just because of the breakthrough. After a short while, the screen changed, and Hanxing returned to his room. Click. The door was pushed open, and Ino walked in quietly. Seeing that there was no food on the table, there was a trace of doubt in his eyes. Have you not gotten up yet, or have you practiced something wrong again? After that, I walked straight to Hanxing's bedroom. Hanxing, are you all right? Ino walked in with a hint of worry on his face. It's okay. Hanxing smiled bitterly. Are you okay? Ino wrinkled her delicate nose. Then why don't you cook? I don't think I can cook this meal for a few days. Hanxing smiled wryly again. Advertisement. You won't have any problems with your practice again. Ino hurriedly walked up to Hanxing, tears welling up in the corners of his eyes. Seeing that Ino was about to grab him, Hanxing got up quickly and avoided Ino's little hand. At this time, he was only initially in control, and he was not very familiar with this new power. If Ino encountered him, God knows if it would hurt Ino. Seeing this, Ino had a hint of doubt in his eyes. Hanxing pointed to the ground, and a few deep footprints appeared. My strength has grown a little faster this time around, and I haven't mastered this new strength yet. I'm afraid of hurting you. Looking at the footprints on the ground, and carefully looking at Hanxing's body not far away, Ino let go of his serious worries after confirming that nothing was wrong. Scared me. I thought something happened to you again. It turns out that you are not familiar with your own power. Ino patted the chest that had already formed a scale. Then what are you going to do these days? Do you practice strength at home, or go to the training ground outside? Of course it's outside. If we're at home, we don't have to tear down our house. Hanxing laughed. I'll go to some old place to practice first. Remember to bring some breakfast. There you go. Hanata will come over later. The two of us will make it. Ino softly kaido. Hanxing nodded and smiled, and a flicker disappeared in place. 3 days later, in the morning, Konoha Hushan. Hanxing was carrying a small mountain on his body, and its weight was at least 1,000 catties. He was sweating profusely, and skillfully performed some basic body movements in his previous life: leapfrog, push-ups. Chapter 121. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. 1. 2. Every time you do one, there will be a deep footprint and handprint on the ground, mixed with a drop of sweat. After doing this, there is no meaning to stop completely, as if the small peaks on the body do not exist. If it weren't for the sweat flowing from his body, he would have thought that the peaks on Hanxing's back were fake. It was noon without a break, and the crazy Hanxing finally stopped his movements. He was sweating profusely, his face panting slightly, and he said with a long sigh, "It's finally done. Just throw the small mountain on your back to the ground not far away." Hanxing walked towards the house. In 3 days, plus the time in the cultivation space, for a total of more than a month, Hanxing finally mastered this extra power and became like an ordinary person. Hokage office. Tsunade was sitting on the office chair with a headache, next to Shizune and Shikaku sharing the work. Hanxing pushed in the door. He came here to bid farewell. There is still about a year to go before the blast. His current strength is still invincible in the early stage of the blast, but in the later stage, it is not enough to see. After explaining the reason, Tsunade's face is not good looking. He finally got a good clan, and now he doesn't have a good relationship with your 2 little girlfriends. To inherit the lineage for the Senju clan, what are you doing running around? Advertisement. But Tsunade knows that once he agrees with the character of his disciples, he will not be able to pull back 8 cows, and he is very stubborn. Where are you going? The ancient country of Lulan, Hanxing said. The ancient kingdom of Lulan. Lu Ju frowned. I seem to have heard of that. It seems to be in the north of the country of wind. It was originally a small country belonging to the country of wind, and then it suddenly disappeared after turmoil more than 10 years ago. Where are you going? Even if you find it, it will be a ruin. You don't think so? Suddenly, Lu Ju seemed to think of something. His eyes widened. Lu Ju. What does he want to do? You said so? Tsunade said anxiously when he saw Lu Ju's face changing greatly. After all, the Senju clan is now the only 2 of them. He didn't want any accident in Hanxing. Lu Ju glanced at Hanxing, with a hint of admiration in his eyes, and pondered. It is rumored that there is a huge dragon vein underground in the ancient country of Lulan. This dragon vein is all composed of chakra, and it is extremely huge, no less than a tailed beast. Now, in the ruined ancient country of Lulan, this is the only thing that can attract Hanxing. As expected of Uncle Luji. You can guess what I'm thinking with a little thought, Hanxing exclaimed. No, I don't agree with this matter. Just stay at Konoha and have a baby with Ino and Hanata. Tsunade refused when he heard this. When Shizune heard Tsunade's last sentence, a black line appeared on their foreheads. I have a way to naturally absorb the violent energy there, and I have to go there. Hanxing shook his head. Advertisement. Why? With your strength, I'm afraid even if I can't make a few moves in front of you, what are you doing in such a hurry to improve your strength? Tsunade was a little puzzled. My family knows about my family. Ever since Hanxing successfully practiced the 8 inner gates, Konoha has never been Hanxing's opponent. Beside him, Shizune looked shocked. Who is Tsunade? One of Sanin, now Konoha's 5th Hokage, actually said that he was not the opponent of his apprentice. It might even be the kind of second. How could this not shock the 2 of them? If Tsunade hadn't said it himself, I'm afraid they wouldn't believe that Hanxing has such strength now. Cage level. Shadow of a village was defeated in seconds. Could it be that Hanxing has reached the strength of 1st Hokage? This terrifying thought suddenly appeared in Lu Ju's mind. You'll find out later. Tsunade-sensei, I have to go. I already told them at Hanata, goodbye. After Hanxing finished speaking, a body flicker technique disappeared in place, leaving behind the 3 people who were contemplating. On the border of the country of fire, in a restaurant in a city, Hanxing ordered a meal, sat on a chair, held a map, and looked carefully. This map is exactly the route to the ancient country of Lulan. The only difference is that the map is a bit old, and I only know that it is near the country of wind. As for the route, it can be used as a reference. After all, this is the route that was taken more than 10 years ago, after more than 10 years of development, and it is close to the desert. If you really follow this route, you will be sure that Hanxing will not be able to find the north and south. Boss, here are 2 specials. A loud shout appeared in Hanxing's ears, and the 2 figures sat carelessly beside Hanxing without Hanxing's consent. Hanxing frowned, raised his head, and 2 figures appeared in his sight. Advertisement. 2 black-red cloud cloaks, one muttered softly, holding a sharp 3-segmented scythe. One had green eyes, covered his mouth, his face was calm and arrogant. This is Undead Duo. How could these 2 guys be here? Hanxing's expression flashed with surprise. When Hanxing looked up, Kakuzu also saw Hanxing's appearance. At this moment, Kakuzu, who was originally calm, suddenly had green eyes with green light, and was extremely greedy, like a hungry wolf for a long time. Hidan turned his head to look out the door, and said with a somewhat irritable expression, "Kakuzu, when are we going? We've been waiting here for almost a year. I don't know why that kid hasn't come out of Konoha. Why don't we go directly to the town near Konoha and wait for him? But, this 100 million too is really hard to earn. What a waste of time." "Shut up, Hidan," Kakuzu said with a hint of anger. "Look back." "What's the matter?" Hidan turned his head for no apparent reason, just to meet Hanxing's eyes. "Damn it. This kid finally came out." Hidan pointed at Hanxing with some excitement. Hearing Hidan's words, and thinking of the way Kakuzu looked at him, Hanxing instantly clarified the cause and effect of the two people here. That is, he was offered a bounty of 100 million taels anonymously by black marketers, and this bounty was accepted by the undead duo, who were at the border of the Land of Fire just to wait for Hanxing to come out of Konoha. As soon as this thought came out, Hanxing's face instantly became ugly. He believed that since he was born, he has not caused any big trouble except for killing Danzo. He was offered a reward for no reason. How could he not be angry in his heart? Chapter 122 Previous chapter Next chapter Advertisement. "The person you're talking about isn't me, is it?" "That's right. It's you. You know what? We have been here for almost half a year to wait for you," Hidan admitted directly. He admitted that since the kid in front of him had already appeared in the sight of the two of them, it was impossible to let this kid escape from the eyes of the two of them. "Hidan. Shut up. You're talking too much," Kakuzu shouted coldly. "Cut." Hidan pouted indifferently, but his eyes stayed on Hanxing. "What? You think you two have settled for me?" Hanxing sneered, picked up the pasta that the waiter had just brought over, and ate it in a big mouth, not caring at all about the two beasts staring at him. "No. It shouldn't be called a beast, it should be called a beast. You are quite arrogant. You don't mean to run." Kakuzu looked at Hanxing's calm face, and the green light in his eyes even more. "You've seen a tiger care about the peeps of two jackals," Hanxing smiled dismissively. "You're courting death," Hidan shouted in anger, picked up the three-segmented sickle in his hand, and greeted Hanxing directly. The three-stage sickle is extremely sharp, and Hanxing can clearly hear the whistling wind and the fierce cold light coming from the three-stage sickle. Kakuzu's expression did not change, and he watched this scene with interest. Hanxing's expression didn't change. The muscles on his body tightened into steel, and the six-style iron body suddenly activated. With a slight sarcasm and a sneer, he said, "That's it? When will the Shao organization collect some garbage?" "You kid. What a bastard." Hidan's face was hideous, and he pulled out his hands from Hanxing's two-finger vice-admiral sickle. Advertisement. But no matter how hard he tried, Hanxing's two fingers were like iron clips, motionless. Hidan's face suddenly became ugly, but there was a hint of shock in his heart. "Let me help you." Seeing Hidan exert so much force, Hanxing loosened his two fingers, and Hidan suddenly stepped back several steps in embarrassment due to the great force he used. "You kid." Hidan's face was ashen, full of anger, looking at Hanxing and wishing to kill him. Picking up the scythe is like a Hanxing attack. Hanxing, a body flicker technique, suddenly disappears in place. A faint voice echoed in the ears of the two of them. "It's not convenient here, I'll be waiting for you in the woods ahead." The two looked at each other and ran towards the woods ahead without any hesitation. In the woods, on a treetop, Hanxing recalled the information about the undead duo in the original book. Needless to say, Hidan, a cursed waste, except for a little precaution, don't get blood from Hidan, and don't have to worry about the rest. Hanxing has elementalization. It can be said that he is naturally restrained against Hidan, and with his current strength, he can completely beat him. The same is true for Kakuzu. Except for the 5 lives, everything else is trivial. Therefore, Hanxing is not panic at all. This is destined to be a battle without suspense. The only thing he's thinking about now is who on the black market posted the reward for him. This 100 million taels is not a small amount, except for the other 4 major ninja villages. The others are basically not available. Advertisement: the other 4 ninja villages, first of all Sand Shinobi Village, can be ruled out. The other 3 ninja villages are all possible. Just as Hanxing was thinking hard, 2 figures appeared in Hanxing's sight. As soon as he appeared, Hidan held a scythe and shouted at Kakuzu, "Kakuzu, I'll solve this kid myself, don't help me." Words confidently rushed to Hanxing. "Trash," Hanxing muttered to himself, looking at the mindless Hidan. The next moment, the figure suddenly disappeared from the treetops and appeared behind Hidan. Raise the leg, and without Hidan's knowledge, a powerful whip leg bombards Hidan's back. Crack. Puff. Feeling the huge force coming from behind, Hidan spit out a mouthful of blood, and there was a clear sound of bone shattering from behind. The whole person, like a cannonball, flew into the distance uncontrollably. Along the way, trees were smashed into 2 by Hidan and fell to the ground, making a roar. What is Hanxing's current level, and what is Hidan? To put it in a bad way, if Hidan hadn't had the great trick of the Shinigami mark, his strength or experience would have been impossible to join the Akatsuki organization. There is a natural difference between the 2. After the roar ended, Hanxing flashed and appeared here. Hidan's face was embarrassed. His eyes were full of unwillingness. The whole person collapsed to the ground. The pain in his back made him scream, and some couldn't bear what was in front of him. The spine is connected to this nerve. Hanxing's foot was specifically aimed at the spine. Now that Hidan's spine is broken, I'm afraid he can't even move. Advertisement: one hand grabbed Hidan's neck and raised it high, the other hand gathered thunder, and a white thunder sword appeared in Hanxing's hand instantly. This white thunderbolt is now the ability of Hanxing Thunderfruit. Since learning Sage Mode and having Sage Body, Hanxing's Thunderbolt has evolved again, from red to white. Its power is also doubled, from the previous 300 million volts directly to 500 million volts. Not with full force, but with a wave of hands, a voltage of 500 million volts. What is the concept of 500 million volts? The safety voltage of the human body is only 36 volts. Hanxing is confident, except for some extremely exceptional ninjas, they will definitely not escape Hanxing's white thunder. Including Hidan in front of you. In the distance, Kakuzu remained motionless after seeing Hanxing take out the thunder sword. In his opinion, Hidan was immortal, and even if Hanxing cut him into pieces, he could still take it back with a grudge. Besides, this kid Hidan didn't ask him for help, so he was too lazy to help. The white long sword is extremely dazzling, like a beam of white laser, eye-catching. If there are thunder arcs on it, the violent energy makes Hidan a little flustered. Just as he was about to open his mouth to ask for help, he was thrown upwards by Hanxing, and the whole person was thrown straight into the sky by Hanxing. Whizzing. Hanxing was holding a white long sword, his hand was like an afterimage, and he quickly swung it under Hidan. I saw white streamers flying out of Hanxing's long sword, turning into white lights, wreaking havoc all over Hidan. After a while, Hanxing stood up with his sword in hand, only to see a burnt smell from the upper limit of Hidan's body. Chapter 123 Previous chapter Next chapter Advertisement. Cut whatever you want. I'm immortal. Hidan laughed wildly in midair. It didn't take long for Hidan to laugh. A crack appeared on Hidan's body. With the appearance of this crack, it was like a river that had opened a gate. Boom. Like rain, pieces of charred black meat fell from Hidan's body with tendons and bones. As more and more pieces of charred meat fall, the volume of Hidan in midair becomes smaller and smaller, until it is completely dismembered by Hanxing. Knowing the secret of Hidan's immortality, Hanxing will not cut off his neck like the original. Looking at the dense pieces of meat in the air, Hanxing sneered. The thunder light in his hands converged, and the sky above his head was a smear, and the strong thunder attribute chakra instantly enveloped the top of Hanxing's head. As the white light flickered, a thunder barrier composed of white electric arcs appeared above Hanxing's head. Pat. Pat. The pieces of meat dropped from Hidan hit the lightning barrier and were turned into ashes and scattered on the ground with the wind. Let's see if you can be resurrected, Hanxing sneered. Maybe Hidan's soul is still alive, but this body, it's turned into ashes, how can it be resurrected? Call out. Kakuzu, who was still indifferent just now, can no longer calm down after seeing Hanxing's practice. A body flicker technique appeared under the thunder curtain. Looking at the black fly ash below, the corners of his mouth twitched. Damn it. Lousy just stood there for a while, definitely not more than a minute. You will be turned to ashes by that kid. It's so useless. I'm afraid I won't be able to sew my grudges back this time. Advertisement. At the same time, the vigilance of Hanxing in my heart has risen again. Although Hidan has the characteristics of immortality, his strength is not very good, but, to solve Hidan in an instant, his strength cannot allow him to be careless. As the saying goes, the older you are, the more cunning you are, and the older you are, the more afraid of death. Kakuzu is such a person. Your strength is very strong, but it is far from my actual combat experience. Seeing your forehead protector reminds me of the first Konoha shinobi I fought against, first Hokage, Senju Hashirama. Kakuzu stepped back, looked at some distance with Hanxing, and threw his Akatsuki code into the distance. Exposing his body like a stitched body, he was full of pretense. He stretched his arm forward, sewed up the cracks in his wrist, and black tentacles broke through the cracks, protruding from the inside out, floating back and forth in the air. These tentacles, like snakes, and like earthworms, are extremely disgusting. Looking at the densely swung black tentacles, Hanxing secretly said, "This should be Kakuzu's grievances, it's really disgusting." The body bowed forward, the white light flashed under his feet, and Hanxing completely disappeared in place. When he reappeared, Hanxing had already appeared behind the horn, holding the thunder sword in his right hand. What a quick body flicker technique! Kakuzu's eyes widened and he exclaimed. The whole body split from the waist and split into two. Swish! A black grudge burst out from Kakuzu's upper body, pulled him back, and then turned into a black light to slowly wrap his wounds. After the black light disappeared, the part where Kakuzu was cut in half was restored to its original shape. It all seemed to be a long time, and it was only completed in an instant. Little devil! You annoyed me. The resurrected Kakuzu's face was gloomy, extremely angry, and his killing intent was rampant. Yeah. That's my honor, Hanxing sneered. From the original work, it is known that Kakuzu can use the ground grudge to capture the heart of the ninja to perform ninjutsu and maintain his own vitality. These 5 hearts correspond to the 5 escape techniques. After the blow just now, Kakuzu still has 4 hearts. As long as Kakuzu is killed 4 times, the undead duo will disappear from the entire ninja world. It's just a pity that the two did not kill the smoker Asuma. Click. Click. Advertisement. Kakuzu's hands quickly formed a seal, and a sound like glass breaking sounded behind Kakuzu. One after another, grievances stretched out from behind Kakuzu, gathered towards the sky above Kakuzu's head, gathered. In the blink of an eye, a huge, chrysalis-like shell appeared in Hanxing's field of vision. The black shell broke open, revealing a face with a strange expression like a white mask. When this monster appeared, it did not attack Hanxing, but fell to the ground like a pool of stagnant water. Hanxing understands that this is probably the one hidden in Kakuzu's heart just now. After this monster appeared, the black tentacles behind Kakuzu did not stop, but spread wildly towards the whole body. In the blink of an eye, 4 monsters just like the one just now appeared in the sky above Kakuzu. Boy! There are not many people in this world who let me use all my strength. After you die, you can brag when you reach the bottom. Tell first Hokage, it's me who killed you. Kakuzu? Kakuzu said with a grudge, a frenzied opening. When the nonsense is over, then die. After saying the last word, the Hanxing people have disappeared in place. Humph. Do you think I'll be as brainless as Hidan? Kakuzu snorted. Clap your hands down. The dense grievances gathered in front of Kakuzu crazily, and a huge black line centered on Kakuzu, rotating clockwise, protected Kakuzu to death. Kakuzu made frantic knots with both hands, so fast that only afterimages could be seen. He shouted, wind-style crush. Fire-style head hard. A gust of wind condensed into the ultimate, spewing out of a monster above Kakuzu's head. Boom. Advertisement. The compressed airball that fell to the ground suddenly exploded. One after another violent hurricane radiated from the inside, spreading wildly around in a spiral shape. These hurricanes are compressed, and the power is like a sharp sword. The surrounding trees were blocked and cut into two sections in an instant. Boom! A tree was swept away by the surrounding hurricane, and it was cut into two pieces and fell to the ground. Meanwhile, another mosque's attack has arrived. It spits out a small fireball from its mouth. It doesn't look very powerful, but at the moment of landing, the fireball instantly turned into a ferocious flame. It grew against the wind, and spread wildly around in the blink of an eye, and the trees were instantly turned into ashes under its devotion. Coupled with the fire and the wind, the two were originally large-scale ninjutsu, and their scope was doubled again. Looking at Wang Yang's sea of fire in front of him, Kakuzu sneered, "This time we will see if you will die." He didn't know where the Hanxing people were, so he could only bombard them indiscriminately. With such a wide range of fires, he didn't believe that the kid inside was still alive. Even if he is alive, it is estimated that he is not far from death. It is just a pity. I hope that the boy's body will not be scorched, otherwise, these 100 million taels are estimated to go to waste. Chapter 124 Previous chapter Next chapter Advertisement. In mid-air, Hanxing looked at the sea of Wang Yang's fire below and murmured softly, "It's over." The index finger was raised, the chakra in the dantian surged, and a round jade-like Rasengan shuriken instantly appeared above the index finger. Down a bit. The spiral shuriken fell downward, and it rose against the wind. The moment it fell, the tiny Rasengan began to expand, and it expanded several times in the blink of an eye, like a full moon. The same is true for the wind attribute chakra, which rotates clockwise. It grows into the wind and becomes the size of a wind demon shuriken, but its sharpness is far from what the wind demon shuriken can match. This is no longer a spiral shuriken, it's a super large jade spiral shuriken. Whoosh! With the increase in size, the speed of massive Rasengan's shuriken's falling soared, like a shooting star. Kakuzu, who was secretly rejoicing, panicked in his heart. What's going on? Why is there a feeling of heart palpitations? This feeling has not appeared for a long time. Kakuzu was extremely vigilant and frowned. Eyes back and forth to look around. Forget it. Get out of here first. Kakuzu secretly made up his mind. As a cage-level powerhouse, he has fought countless times and survived every time. This intuition accounts for a large part. Whoosh whoosh. A piercing sound came from above. Kakuzu raised his head, his pupils contracted. A huge chakra ball with a strong wind chakra on it. Above the two, every chakra that flows out makes Kakuzu's heart palpitate, and it's more than a ninjutsu. Advertisement: this kind of ninjutsu, its power is at least S-rank ninjutsu. At this moment, he finally understood where the feeling that made his heart palpitate came from. At this time, the chakra ball that made his scalp numb was already less than a meter away from the monster above him. He could even clearly feel the terrifying chakra fluctuations coming from above, as well as the sharp cutting sound. Without any hesitation, Kakuzu took a heart back into his arms. Crazy knots on both hands. Wind-style crushing. Fire-style head hard. Water-style water dragon bomb technique. The three monsters spit out three large ninjutsu from their mouths in an instant, and ran towards the massive Rasengan shuriken. Originally, it was crushed by a shell, and it was compressed directly into a wind line of the ultimate. This wind line is extremely sharp and can easily cut steel and wrought iron. The red glowing flame streamed, and the temperature was so high that even the surrounding space was faintly distorted, as if it could smelt all things. The ferocious water dragon roared up, and every scale on it was lifelike, and every scale was gathered by a strong high-pressure water flow. At the moment of running, the three began to rotate, converge, and then combine to form a powerful three-attribute combination ninjutsu. After Kakuzu performed these ninjutsu, with a resolute face, he performed the body flicker technique and flashed quickly. After seeing the ninjutsu above his head, he made up his mind to run. He knew very well that with all the ninjutsu under his control, the forbidden technique, he couldn't compare with it at all. The purpose of performing those three ninjutsu is to delay the time, and for this reason, he even gave up the three monster hearts. Advertisement: he is not too worried, as long as he can escape this time, with his strength, it is not difficult to capture some Jonin's hearts. The only thing that upsets him is the information error. This time, he must let Ju know the fate of lying about the information, Not to say that it is just a cage level, destroying the roots of Danzo, and using lightning style. But what's the matter with the strong wind attribute chakra in the sky? This is what you call lightning style? Are you kidding me? Originally adding the special characters of him and Hidan, killing Hanxing is a certainty. Now, Hidan has not made a move in the hands of others, and he is forced to leave 4 hearts to escape. Thinking of this, the anger in Kakuzu's heart grew stronger and stronger, and since he fought with first Hokage until now, he was the first to run away in such embarrassment. Damn it. Go back this time, and you have to tell me what to do if you lied to me. Kakuzu was furious. Boom. At this moment, there was a monstrous roar from Kakuzu's back.
From a distance, a full moon falls from the sky and collides with the 3 combined cylinders below.
The dazzling full moon instantly burst into dazzling light, and violent energies suddenly radiated from it. The 3 combination ninjutsu below did not even have the strength to block, and they were instantly swallowed up by the energy of the full moon. Boom. A roaring sound resounded in the woods. The dazzling full moon turned into a giant hood, covering a radius of 1,000 meters. Under the hood, you can vaguely see that the trees, flowers, and soil inside rise up against gravity, and are penetrated by the tiny wind-type needles inside, which are turned into pieces, and the fly ash disappears. Advertisement. As the white light deepened, the dazzling white light became more and more dazzling, and it was impossible to see what was going on inside. Kakuzu squatted on the top of a tree, squinted, gasped slightly, and started the body flicker technique a dozen times in a row. Even he couldn't bear it. Looking at what happened in the distance, my heart was even more shocked, not to mention the power, just the wind needles wandering around the white light. Even a Jonin would be killed if he was not careful. How did this kid cultivate in the past 4 years, so fierce, with such strength? I am afraid that the leader of the organization can fight against him. After resting for a while, Kakuzu continued to run towards the distance, to be precise, to escape. This kind of person, he is no longer able to hunt and kill. At this time, the dazzling white light in the distance gradually began to weaken, and finally disappeared, revealing the scene inside. It was barren and full of potholes. There was no grass within a radius of a kilometer. In the center, a huge pothole that spanned 100 meters emerged out of thin air. The whole venue is like a giant spoon in the sky, scooping a spoon on the ground. In mid-air, Hanxing was spotless and expressionless, and electromagnetic induction radiated along with it, sensing Kakuzu's position. After a while, the corners of Hanxing's mouth twitched. Do you want to run away? When the words fell, the whole person disappeared into the air out of thin air. In the distance, in the woods, Kakuzu's figure quickly passed through it. The speed was as fast as a cheetah running at full speed. Since seeing the explosion not far away, Kakuzu has not stopped. The warning in his mind let him know that the boy on the opposite side did not let him go, so he could only flee quickly. As long as he leaves this forest and enters the town ahead, he will have the confidence to escape the pursuit of the man behind him. Come on. Come on. Kakuzu looked at the light spot not far away, getting closer and closer, with a hint of joy in his heart. Chapter 125. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Just as Kakuzu was about to leave the forest, a figure suddenly appeared in front of the white light. With a smile on his lips, he said softly, Mr. Kakuzu, what makes you so happy? Did you throw a kunai at first Hokage from 800 meters away when you were a child? It's you. Kakuzu restrained the smile at the corner of his mouth. His eyes were extremely shocked, and a cold sweat appeared on his forehead unconsciously. You? How did you get here? And how did you know about my fight with first Hokage? Kakuzu was shocked like an elementary school student, and he had a lot of questions. Hee. How did I know about your fight with first Hokage? So I can't tell you. As for why I'm here. Hanxing smiled and gave a pass. What did your intelligence gathering never tell you? If you compare speed, except for space ninjutsu, I think I'm number 1 in the ninja world. Your speed is too slow. Hanxing's words are very arrogant, but it is true. Since Thunder Fruit evolved again, the speed of his transformation into Thunderbolt has also been greatly enhanced. For example, it used to take about half an hour to get from Konoha to Tansoji, but now it only takes 10 minutes. This kind of speed, to put it badly, Even if Namikaze Minato was alive, he might not be able to compare to Hanxing. Okay. The gossip is over, it's time to send you on your way. Hanxing restrained the smile in his hand, and the white lightning arc flashed on his body. Lightning-style pseudo-darkness. Kakuzu's hands quickly formed a seal, and a powerful thunder gun spewed out of Kakuzu's mouth. The thunder lance attacked Hanxing from far and near with furious energy. Advertisement. When Hanxing saw this, his face was happy. He really didn't expect that Kakuzu's last heart was actually a thunder heart. Really, it's a bit of a surprise. Crackle, crackle. Hanxing didn't change his face, looked at his original thunder spear, and stretched his palm forward. It's too much. Looking at Hanxing's actions, Kakuzu sneered. He knows very well how strong the lightning energy of pseudo-darkness is. It is a B-level ninjutsu that can destroy Jonin in an instant. After years of development, its power has long been developed to a level by him. Much stronger than ordinary B-level ninjutsu pseudo-darkness. In the next moment, Kakuzu's sneering face disappeared instantly, becoming shocked, disbelieving and other expressions. I saw that the palm of the boy on the opposite side grabbed the lightning spear that was rushing, ignoring the ultra-high current carried by the pseudo-dark, and squeezed it hard, directly pinching the lightning spear in half. As a result, the lightning spear was dissolved by Hanxing and disappeared. How is that possible? How could the pseudo-darkness not hurt you a single cent? Kakuzu's face changed, and he screamed in horror. The ninja world is so big, you don't know a lot, Hanxing said indifferently. A flash appeared in front of Kakuzu, and the thunder flashed in his hand, directly penetrating Kakuzu's chest. Kakuzu left this world unwillingly with a look of disbelief. Then Kakuzu was still not far away, his brows twitched, the thunder in his hand was brighter and his voice was louder. The figure moved and suddenly disappeared in place. Not long after Hanxing left, a black and white figure like a pitcher plant sprang from the ground. This person is the intelligence officer of the Shao organization, absolutely. Distinction: Black Zetsu and White Zetsu. Advertisement. White Zetsu was created by Uchiha Madara with Gedo statue chakra, Senju Hashirama cells and yin-yang escape. In fact, it is the product of the fall of humanity immersed in infinite Tsukuyomi in ancient times. Black Zetsu is created by Otsutsuki Kagaya, who claims to be the third son of Kagaya. The fourth ninja war is also the Black Zetsu secretly bewitched Uchiha Madara, the implementation of the so-called Project Tasuki no Mi. The entire Hokage ninja is also known as Black Zetsu Save the Mother. It can be said that Black Zetsu is one of the ultimate Hokage bosses, no matter in the early stage or in the late stage. Now pretending to be created by Madara, and secretly executing Madara's plan before her death. Looks like Kakuzu and Hidan were both killed by Hanxing. What should I do? White Zetsu asked in surprise. The dead are dead. What else can we do? Of course, we reported the truth. Why can't we resurrect the two of them? Black Zetsu said hoarsely. Take Kakuzu's body. Let's go back to the leader. After a pause, Black Zetsu said again. That's all. White Zetsu nodded. Call out. As soon as the two left the ground, Hanxing's figure suddenly appeared in front of the two of them. The white arc of lightning turned into a sharp long sword, and it slashed horizontally at the waist of the two of them with lightning speed. A white light flashed, and the upper body of Black White Zetsu was directly cut off by Hanxing. At the incision, it was charred and black, and a meaty aroma permeated out. Black and White Zetsu directly fell to the ground and pretended to be dead. There was a hint of surprise in Hanxing's eyes. Just when he killed Kakuzu and was about to leave, he suddenly felt two special human magnetic fields in the ground. Therefore, I deliberately pretended to leave, just to see what it was, but I didn't expect it to be these two things. If I had known earlier, they would not come back if they were killed, and neither of these guys would be easy to mess with, especially Black Zetsu, who was a proper conspirator. Advertisement: these two things are also very special. Killing and not killing them is a waste of time. Staring coldly at the two things that were hit and killed on the ground, Hanxing stepped and disappeared in place. I muttered to myself, it's really bad luck. 2 hours later, Hanxing passed by the Kingdom of Wind to resupply and ran towards the ancient kingdom of Lulan. 10 minutes later, Hanxing took the map, made gestures, walked back and forth, and the electromagnetic induction also sent out, looking for the location of the ancient country of Lulan. After half an hour, after Hanxing's hard work, he finally felt a huge and violent energy in the electromagnetic induction. Hanxing's eyes lit up, finally found it, then, a flicker disappeared in place. In a desolate place full of sand and ravines, Hanxing's figure suddenly appeared here. Look at the broken walls in the sand and the huge and terrifying energy below. A smile appeared on Hanxing's face, finally found. Speaking of which, the ancient country of Lulan looks good too. Hanxing stood in the sand, looking at the ruins of the city-state, and sighed with emotion. The appearance of this building, I am afraid that even Konoha can't compare with it now. Speaking of which, and Lucian is really a fool in the original book. He has such a powerful dragon vein energy that he doesn't know how to absorb it, so he is a war machine. What a waste. Now, he has arrived here one step ahead. It is estimated that in a year, and Lucian will be pissed when he arrives here. Hanxing thought to himself, and then began to look for a way to go to the dragon vein. After all, such a powerful dragon vein energy below cannot be destroyed by brute force.